But my beats, they are hard.
All right. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan Fulford, and joining me is not AD Drew, but it's Kyle T. Mosley, HBCU legend, founder and managing editor. Kyle, how you doing?
What's going on? What's going on, Bryan? How you feel?
Man, I'm trying to get in the super weak mode.
Okay.
You know,
right. Is that turquoise-ish?
Well, look, the one Super Bowl that I was able to truly enjoy, happened a long time ago, in Miami. We had a great quarterback, had a great coach. Prince performed a halftime show in the rain.
The best halftime show of all.
Ever. Yes, exactly. And I was able to actually be probably about 2 stadium lengths away at a nearby hotel, and I could see the halftime fireworks, and that's about as close as I get, Kyle. I couldn't actually get into the stadium, but I could be like a block away
Well, look, me as well, the Saints, sorry what we had to do to you guys in Miami.
And then that would be my worst Super Bowl memory right there.
So yeah, in Miami Gardens, especially that stadium, held a lot of memories, especially for the people of Indy as well as Saints, and if you're a Colts fan as well. But such a legendary stadium, such a legendary place to be able to have some great sports memories, right?
Exactly. I will say when we went, I thought it was just synergy that, we're going back to South Florida again. Oh, this is a shoo-in. And then Hank Basket couldn't recover, couldn't handle. Anyway, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go there. Congratulations to you.
That was a kick from Thomas Morstead, a rookie kicker.
It was a genius move. It was a genius move. One of the best coaching decisions. I think this whole week, I wonder, people will break down that kind of stuff, but I don't know if there was ever a better coaching move that won a Super Bowl than what Sean Payton did in that game.
Yeah, turned the whole tide.
It took a big pair to do that, and potentially give Peyton Manning, great field position, when you're trailing coming out of halftime.
Yeah. Well, look, he didn't want to give Peyton Manning too many possessions. He knew he had to steal at least 1 or 2 from him, and we were able to do so. And congratulations to my Saints. But It's been a long time coming, though, Bryan. We got to get back there, right?
Yeah, look, man, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. I think your Saints are trending in the right direction. I thought my Colts were, and then they weren't, and then I wanted change, and change didn't come. So I don't know what to think about next year, Kyle. But anyway.
Hopefully Jones gets back on the mend. I think that was the key for you guys right there.
Surprisingly, I had Kyle, just when I had finally decided to drink the Kool-Aid, and then he got hurt. And then the losing streak happened, and then I actually went to the Jacksonville, a place that I knew we were going to lose that game, Kyle, but only because I had some tickets to a suite. This is the only reason I went. Free tickets, went to the gym, free food, free drink. I mean, you don't pass that up, right?
Yeah, you don't pass that up.
No, Bryan. But I knew we were going to lose that game. I just didn't know we were going to lose our quarterback and our season in one foul swoop. So, again, I'm sorry. I will never attend a Colts Jacksonville game in the state of Florida. I'm officially done with them.
You done?
I'm done. I don't care unless I could have field access, which I did, but we didn't do it. But I'm not going, Kyle. It's just I learned my lesson. Jinx. Yeah. I learned my lesson.
Well, it's okay, man. It's all right.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, we got a great show for you today, and obviously you see Kyle is here today. He's filling in for our guy Drew for at least the first segment because wow, of all the things going on in the HBCU sporting diaspora, man, we've got a story that is just beyond belief. That opened up that's going to open up the show and probably is in the talking everybody's talking about it in the diaspora, and if you don't know, we'll get into it in a moment. And it really shamefully takes away from probably the bigger story. And again, if you're not familiar with HBCU legends, you should, guys, all should be reading and following Kyle. Kyle did a great article regarding what this incident has taken away. And the incident I'll talk about here in a second, but I want to first read, this is rare that we do this, Kyle. I don't get a chance to read very many statements from my co-host, but right. I'm going to read a statement from my co-host because I'm sure a lot of people who know our show are tuned in to see what my co-host had to say or is going to say, right? So let me read a statement from my guy, my friend, my classmate, from way back. Okay, so this statement is from AD Drew. So I'm going to read it here just to kind of not try to paraphrase it. I'm going to read. These are his words. Okay. For 9 years, I have been appreciative of the opportunity to bring my commentary, facts, and opinions on key games and other matters related to HBCU athletics on the Black College Sports Network. I want to say thank you to all of the followers who tune into the BCSN on a daily and weekly basis. The ability to do shows like the BCSN SportsWrap with my college classmate, Bryan Fulford, and Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Doc and Charles, and Mike, and the other professors has been a great joy to me. Instead of being able to come on the show, I co-host each and every Sunday and talk about the longest active winning streak in HBCU basketball, a battle of two SIAC heavyweights who happen to be in first place in their respective divisions, true, a team that is undefeated in its division, true, and a team that has not lost in the calendar year 2026, I do recognize the lead story of the day. With that being said, I, along with the team at the BCSN, have decided that I will not join the show for the discussion of the happenings at Morehouse College yesterday. My participation in a discussion about the incidents on yesterday would put me in a compromising position and not give the people who tune into the show for an honest discussion the level of coverage this story deserves. Thank you for respecting my decision, and I hope that you have a good show. All right, so that is the statement from AD Drew, co-host of the BCSN SportsWrap. Well, Kyle, the incident we are speaking of involves Tuskegee head coach Benji Taylor. Following the Morehouse Tuskegee game, and I don't know. I hate to start it like this, Kyle, without even talking about the great game that took place. but we'll kind of fast forward and then backtrack however we need to. Following the contest, and I'm going to paraphrase because I'm going to get out the way because you did a great summary and I'm going to let you talk about it. I'm going to just give the bullet points. Following the contest, coming out of the handshake line, it appeared that Coach Taylor had some discussions regarding some additional members, I believe, of the Morehouse football team or members.
Yeah, it was a football team. Correct.
Should not have been in the handshake line as traditionally happens between both teams after a game, right? And whatever was going on, and Kyle will talk about it here in a second, whatever happened, you will show video in a second of, matter of fact, hold on, let me, I got video.
I think the video speaks for itself, right?
Hold on, I'm going to get to it. I got video here. So this is the video of the handshake line, okay? Morehouse in white, Tuskegee in the dark uniforms. This is the Morehouse. This is the video post game. At some point, and I don't know where here, you can see Coach Taylor there to the left, and I believe that's him with Dixon, Coach Dixon of Morehouse. Okay, hold on. And so he's there now in midfield, and you can see him kind of going back, and it looks like behind him appears to be some additional. Now, right there in the middle of the screen, you can see Coach Taylor having words with a security guard. Okay. Let me go to another video, courtesy of HBCU Game. Now, I believe that video is from the Tuskegee, or not Tuskegee, the Morehouse video feed, the Maroon Tiger Sports Network, I believe. This video, a little closer, courtesy of HBCU Game Day. And here's again. And there in the middle, you can see Coach Taylor speaking to a security guard. Zoom in. Can't make out what's said, but here it comes. The move that basically shook the college basketball world. The police officer appearing to be putting handcuffs, not appearing, he did.
He did.
Put handcuffs on Coach Taylor.
Yeah. Well, look, Bryan.
Unbelievable.
If you go back to the video, if you can, the second one.
The second one?
Second one, yeah.
Okay, this one.
Right. And if you look right there, stop. The gentleman in black.
In the middle.
In the
what looks to be a towel. It looks like there's a towel around his waist.
No. That's a Tuskegee guy. I'm talking about the young men in black that are dapping him up.
Oh, okay.
That's the Morehouse football team, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. And that's what he was complaining about. Those young men being a part of the line of sportsmanship. And why were they there? They should not have been on the court participating.
Right.
But all right, stop there, right here. If you stop, why did I'm not sure if it was police officer, security officer. We haven't gotten clarity on if it was a police officer from Morehouse College or if it was a police officer from Atlanta Police, whomever. We haven't gotten really a designation who this person was. And he took issue to a comment or whatever was said from Coach Taylor, of course, right? And instead of de-escalating or choosing to de-escalate the matter, he escalated it. And that's what we've been seeing across America with ICE going into different neighborhoods and these situations from the protesters going against the individuals where the ICE agents did not de-escalate, rather they escalated the situation. And the same thing happened here. What's more disheartening about this whole incident is the fact it happened at Morehouse College, my alma mater.
Say that.
And I have to say it like that because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was about what? Peace, trying to rationalize a situation, trying to be non-violent, non-confrontational. Well, you got to have some confrontation to have dialogue, but did it have to go to this point where you chose, as the security officer, chose to be able to handcuff a visiting coach's, well, the top coach, and decide to be able to take him off the court into the tunnel and detain him. That's the issue right there. And also another issue, and I don't know if we have clarity on this. I know this was a time where they were having the ceremonies for, or having the honorees for the Tiger Den honorees. Where was Harold Ellis, the athletic director? We saw that Coach Dixon from Morehouse, he approached the security officer to try to intervene, to say, hey, what's happening? What's going on? And I guess he was told to kind of go off, and you saw Coach kind of backed off after whatever was said. This should not have happened. Where in the training of the security or the police officer does it state that you immediately are, oh, I just don't like how this guy talked to me or spoke to me or whatever he said to me, and I will go ahead and handcuff him in front of hundreds of people in this arena, thousands watching on the feed, and then let's go ahead and make this a national spectacle.
Yes.
And that's what happened. And I don't know what was the exchange, but I do know that certain officers and certain police forces are taught to be able to kind of calm the situation first. And if there's no other option, then you go to, let's detain the person. And I just thought this was a bad look for Morehouse College, my alma mater. And I think it's also a bad look for Black college sports as a whole. And I just got a memo, a press release that was sent to me from Tuskegee's coach's attorney. He's just hired a civil rights attorney, attorney Harry Daniels, who's well known. He also works with Jerry Reynolds Williams, as well as Gerald Griggs. And those guys are representing Coach Taylor at this time, and he's bringing a case against Morehouse College. How disheartening is this, man? Now we have ramped this up from a national spectacle. The tension is just being communicated with. Get this, it's not just with HBCU Sports any longer. It has gone national to these guys in Sporting News, Yahoo, all across the globe. People are talking about this. You have guys at Bro Bible talking about this.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
Right? So that's the problem right now that we have, and we don't know how the legal system is going to take this any further, but I would think Coach Taylor has a pretty strong case at this moment.
The sad part and here's the part. It's funny you mentioned that this is now that there's legal precedent or that he has retained a lawyer, because the first thing I did today, because I wanted to use, I was trying to find a picture to go with the graphic I'm going to show. We have a statement from Tuskegee's Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics and Athletic Director Reggie Ruffin.
Coach Ruffin, right.
Coach Ruffin, right. And I was looking for a photo here of Coach Taylor. And here's now what is associated with his name. That picture and that video of being handcuffed. And I'll tell you, Kyle, full disclosure, there's only one other time in my life that I've been handcuffed by police officers, and that was totally something that was, I just happened to be at night in my apartment complex parking lot, and they were actually there for some other guys, and I just happened to be outside at the same time. But when I look and I see police come rolling in with the lights off, and I see guys running, and I said, what the hell is good? And I stopped because I watched enough TV, Kyle, to say, yo, I'm not running or moving nowhere. I'm just going to stand here by my car and wait to see how this plays out. And sure enough, they came rolling up, and they were actually dealing with some guys who were about maybe 30 yards away from me. But because I was near, they don't know who's who. I just stood there. And I said,
didn't line up. Yeah.
It was like, sir, I live
That's
here.
it.
And it's like, hey, well, I'm gonna go ahead and put these cuffs on you. And could you say? I said, yes, sir. But if you have never been handcuffed, it's humbling. You see that stuff
very
on TV,
humbling. I've had that happen to me.
And
Bryan,
so
in New Orleans, it happened to me. My hometown, it happened to 17 years old.
Wow. So I look at that picture, and now that's the part that probably bothers Coach Taylor more than anything. Not that this happened at your job. I mean, I've seen coaches go 8S chasing after officials. I mean, a former high school classmate of mine did that recently at a game. I ain't gonna say whose name, but you can probably figure it out. I watched him go 8 nuts after an official, and everything was calm and cool afterwards. You've seen college basketball. You've seen coaches go nuts.
What happened with Bobby Knight throwing a chair?
I grew up in that state. I know. So I'm telling you, watching that was so mild. Whatever I just can't even wrap my mind around how he has to be feeling, Coach Taylor. Going through that experience and seeing now that his name is Google. When you Google his name, that now is something that is attached to his name.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Well, Bryan, one of the reasons why I chose purposefully not to report on this last night. I wanted to be able to gather as much information as possible. I even reached out to the leadership of the athletic department at Morehouse College. No return of a call, text, anything. At this stage, at this time, 6:28 p.m. Eastern, 5:28 p.m. Central, Morehouse College has not released a formal statement. And that's a concern of mine.
Yeah.
If I'm an alumni, I want to know what my college has to say. If VP Ruffin came out from Tuskegee and released in support of his coach, and now that the attorneys have been retained, right? And this is the key part of this. Coach Taylor was never charged with a crime.
Right.
So those handcuffs on him being escorted out, that video will be forever etched into internet lore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your kids will have to see that. Grandkids will have to see it. Your family, extended family members. That's what we're talking about. Why did this have to come to this level? And they state here, the post-game handshake is prohibited by conference-mandated security protocols. Now, the SIAC will have to get involved with this. It looks like.
I'm glad you mentioned them, because I'm gonna call them out in a second, because this isn't it was a bad month for It was a good and bad month bookend for Morehouse. I mean, because
both
there was another
incident. Started bad.
There's another incident that started the year, and I don't. We still heard from the SIAC on that one, so I don't know when we're gonna hear from him on this. But let me stop for a second. Let me invite in Stephen J. Gaither, HBCU Game Day, who obviously you saw the video that was part of the HBCU Game Day video. Let me bring in Steve. Stephen J. Gaither, SJG in the house. How are you doing, sir?
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Kyle? How you doing, Bryan? How you doing?
How you feeling?
Doing all right. You know, we got about 9 inches of snow here in the Triad, anywhere from 9 to 11 inches. So, we don't get it. We don't get that much. So, just here for the ride.
All right. How's the little lady doing?
Oh, she's doing amazing. Trying to keep her from you might hear her. So yeah, she's watching now. But yes, Supriya, please be good.
Okay.
Her first snow, I'm assuming. So I mean, it's a
Yeah, well,
at
this is
some
2 weeks
point.
in a row. It's
Oh,
crazy
okay.
because it's last week we had it. We didn't have any basketball games. Last week was ice, and so the ice lingered around all week, and now we have 8 inches of snow on top of it, and we have snowpocalypse 3 here. So it's wild, but yeah.
Wow.
Good Lord. Y'all be safe. I'm glad you at least looks like obviously you got some power. So glad that
Yeah.
part still is good good for y'all. Obviously you jumped in right here as we were talking about the lead story that's happening and being talked about in all circles, not just in the HBCU sporting diaspora, but college basketball, college athletics in general regarding what happened to Coach Taylor. And of course, I saw, of course, Steve, you had the story from last night, more so in some of the videos. What, and this is the part, and this is why I wanted to have both of you on, because you guys are reporting this from the reporting aspect, and you all are tied in with the amount of interest that your sites are getting regarding this story. So, I mean, Steve, what can you tell us about what you have learned from the incident? Because obviously I don't think either of you were there at the game, but from the people you've talked to and what you've been able to gather, what can you add to this story, Steve?
I mean, yeah, well, I mean, I decided to take a nap this afternoon, and then I wake up and, shout out to Wally, on the team. He's got an update about the Benji Taylor hiring a civil rights attorney after his brief detention. So, the story definitely has legs, but again, I was at home because there were no games here in CIAA MEAC land. So I was at home yesterday and, got a tip from some people on the ground that were on the team that, that the coach was walked off in handcuffs. Didn't know a lot other than that, just started gathering, what I could from reliable people who were there. Um, you know, um, reached out to officials at Morehouse and just kind of, gave just what we knew, because in these situations, sometimes what it seems like isn't what it looks like. And so, there was some, when you're in the building when some of this stuff happens, even then you don't know, because you heard some people say that maybe this was a stunt. That there had been a joke that said that the Tuskegee coach said that if he lost to Morehouse again, arrest him. So you hear that kind of stuff. You really don't know, but and that's the thing. I talked about it earlier this morning, and breaking news here. I'm writing. I'm in the middle of writing a book about HBCU game day and our evolution with the evolution of HBCU sports over the last decade and a half. And I was actually just on this chapter where I was talking about where when you have unfortunate incidents like this. In times in the past, it might go under the radar if the mainstream media wasn't there. But now with everyone having these smartphones, that's out the window. And so, having HBCU game day, having HBCU legends, folks that actually do writing and reporting to contextualize what's going on and try to get as much of the story. So literally that's what I was doing, was trying to do that. I put up the preliminary story which said, he appeared to be taken off in handcuffs, which obviously, he was. And I got from multiple sources that the Morehouse football team was, man, they need a coach. They need a coach bad. Those young men,
That's right. I forgot. They still
not.
don't
I'm
have a
sure it
coach,
wasn't all of them, but get them a coach. Get those young men a coach. Anyway,
Hey, Steve, that's a sore subject here.
Hey man, look,
they still don't have a coach. I forgot about that fact.
I'm sorry.
We're in
I'm
the
sorry. Some
final
of us
stages. We're in
did
the
it back
final
in
stages,
September.
guys.
Some of us did it back in September. I'm just saying. But no. So anyway, and then I got a call from AD Reginald Ruffin. Who gave me his side of the story. Sent me some of the video which you see. So I want to make sure again, because the thing with this is that, for one, we're not here, again, when I talk about the role of the media, specifically HBCU media, that actually does cover this type of stuff is to really contextualize and try to talk to the people and use the relationships that we have. Because after I got that, I knew as soon as I saw the coach off in handcuffs, no matter what the story was, it was going to be a story. So, I had to kind of put that, do my journalistic integrity to get the story as complete as possible. So as it's developing, I got the update from AD Ruffin and got his statement, and did my due diligence to reach out to everyone, and everyone has different response times, and that's something that, as we're now 24 hours away from this thing, even though it happens on a Saturday, and it is, the poor weather, but we've all got computers, so the powers that be at Morehouse are definitely going to have to answer to this, for sure.
Yeah,
And
Steve, let me ask you a question right there. Let's put a pin right here. I'm a Morehouse grad, right?
Right.
My institution hasn't responded in 24 hours. What does that say about the leadership?
Yeah. I mean, this is this is a lot of different things. It goes from just being sports to being PR to now crisis management. And he says other things that I talk about in the book, and some of the consulting work I'm going to start doing as well is helping folks have a quicker response time, and it's definitely needed now, so more than ever. Again, when everybody has a phone, everybody's a reporter, everybody's not always interested in getting both sides, but you can't keep this out there. And I've been on the other side of it. I'll talk about in the book in the 2013 season, when Winston-Salem State and Virginia State had their infamous romp before the CIAA championship game, in which the CIAA responded very quickly and shut down the entire CIAA championship game. So you have the other end of that spectrum. So, it's never easy. It's never something that's planned for. Nobody planned for this, but it does kind of say, hey, what does their crisis leadership look like? What's their plan? I mean, it's a situation where, as a university, AD, he's got people that he's got to hear from there. He's down the food chain a little bit. There's only so much that he can do. Those people up the food chain have a responsibility to have a response. You are Morehouse. This is the first day of Black History Month. You do have a famous alumnus who has a birthday, who's fighting for people's rights. And as you say, you talk about the coach again. When you saw the first piece of it with him being walked off the court, it's like, oh, they arrested him, and then you find out no, they didn't arrest him. They just took him off the court in handcuffs, and it's like, oh, okay. And then you see the video, and it's like, oh, okay, so. He's having words with him. He's stating his case, and the verbiage that I got from this was from people on the ground was, oh, basically some similar. If you're trying to tell me how to do my job, I'm going to put you in cuffs and I'm going to walk you off of here, but then I'm going to not arrest you. And that's the thing. I talked to some officers that I know that work at HBCUs and do this type of work, and they were like, oh yeah, there's no way you're putting them in cuffs in this situation and not arresting them. So, that's where this civil rights thing comes in. So it's so many things. And, like I said, back in, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, on a snow day, on a game, nobody's streaming it. Nobody has a smartphone. This probably goes under the radar, but we're not there anymore. The thing and to quote The Wire, the thing about the old days, they're the old days,
They're the old days.
and we're way beyond that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well
man.
said. Let me read this statement from, since we did happen to mention that Reginald Ruffin, the VP of Intercollegiate Athletics and the athletic director at Tuskegee University, released a statement. And I believe this statement, I don't know the timeline. Did this statement come out yesterday?
It did.
This morning, right? Or
I think it was like overnight, because Field of 48, which again, like I say, now you got people who are way beyond covering HBCU basketball at all, let alone D2 HBCU basketball. Or they had a statement from him. So yeah, it was in the overnight hours.
Overnight hours. Okay. So again, the statement from VP Reginald Ruffin, and it was addressed to the TU family and friends, stating Tuskegee University and its Department of Intercollegiate Athletics write this letter to express our full and unequivocal support of head men's basketball coach Taylor following the event surrounding the January 31st, 2026 contest between Tuskegee and Morehouse College. Coach Taylor has consistently demonstrated the highest standards of leadership, professionalism, integrity, and care for student athletes throughout his tenure at Tuskegee University. His actions on that day were rooted in his fundamental responsibility to protect his student athletes and staff, particularly in an environment where agreed upon security measures were not properly executed. At no time did Coach Taylor act in a manner unbecoming of Tuskegee University or the profession of collegiate athletics. Rather, he responded as any responsible head coach would by advocating for the safety, order, and well-being of his team. His commitment to his players, their families, and the institution was evident and consistent with the values of Tuskegee University. We are deeply concerned by the circumstances that led to Coach Taylor being placed in a position where he felt compelled to intervene. And we stand firmly by our belief that no coach should ever be subject to such a situation for prioritizing, student athlete safety. Tuskegee University remains committed to working collaboratively with the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, SIAC, and our peer institutions to ensure that proper security protocols are enforced uniformly and consistently at all conference competitions. The safety and dignity of our student athletes, coaches, and staff are not negotiable. Coach Taylor continues to have the full confidence, trust, and support of the university administration and the athletic administration. We are proud of his leadership and grateful for his unwavering dedication to our student athletes and the Tuskegee University community. Sincerely, Reginald Ruffin. Thoughts on the statement from Coach Ruffin, guys?
Well, I mean, he spelled out exactly the institution's point of view, right? And the support for his coach. And I guess the issue I have, and Steve, maybe you can clarify this. I don't know how things go on the CIAA a lot, but if there was an agreed upon post handshake not occurring, that should have been the standard right there, right? What happened? Who dropped the ball? Was it Coach Dixon dropped the ball? Was it Coach Taylor dropped the ball? Was it both of those guys dropping the ball right there as well? Or did the guys just go to the standard, let's dap each other up and let's go on about our business, right? So what happened there could be an issue that takes it further with Attorney Daniels representing Coach Taylor, how that was handled, how the media, now we're handling it, and we only handled it from the video that we saw. We had no statement coming directly from Morehouse College. We had no statement coming from leadership of Morehouse at all. So I think right now there's a lack of clarity on Morehouse's side. There's a lot of strong opinions and statements and support for Coach Taylor on the Tuskegee side. So until we get this cleared up, could that also damage future competition there? How will the commissioner handle that, right? Dr. Holland, how is he going to handle it? So all of this is still, we're in a series of what ifs and how it's going to go down, right? So in my opinion, I think until we hear from Morehouse, I think all this is just still ambiguity at its fullest, and it shouldn't be that way. Steve?
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say, Tuskegee right now, as a neutral observer, they're winning the war of
The
narratives for
PR,
sure.
right?
If not, straight just because of the video, especially when they gave us that video juxtaposed to the first video we saw. But then, in terms of getting out there, making official statements, the coach making his statements, like and they've taken their lumps as well over the last couple of months, as well. But they have seemed to have learned their lesson and learned crisis management quickly in this new landscape of again, where, again, you're going to these games where, 15 years ago, 15, 16 years ago, D2 basketball, something that happened at a D2 basketball game at best would be reported by maybe some student reporters and the weekly black newspaper whenever it came out to now it's everywhere. And they're doing what you have to do now, to which is adjust to the times and adjust to the fact that you can't just keep this stuff in house. You can't just be quiet and let it go away. I would say again for me, like I said, I've been reflecting on game day in the past decade and a half. It's like I know I've had some presidents and chancellors you know directly say something and feel some type of way about HBCU game day for covering this type of stuff. But as I explained to them, and as we continue to see, this is now bigger than that. And this is, you can't just sweep this stuff under a rug, and it literally can go across the world. Jamel Hill, she posted our story as well. And, you have to get out there and say something. You can't just sit on your laurels and say, "Oh, we'll just ride the storm out." And it seems like right now, as we're talking about now, over 24 hours afterward, that's the path that Morehouse is taking. Even if they said, "Hey, you know what? We have, Morehouse is, we are in touch with." They'll let us know whether it was a Morehouse police officer or it was an off-duty police officer.
Yeah, we couldn't get that clear, right?
Yeah, still trying to figure that out. Probably.
They'll say this was blah blah blah. We're working with whoever, and we will have a later statement. We apologize to whatever. So again, from Morehouse, a world-class college, a world-class institution, we're seeing less than world-class response here. And
let me say this, and in defense of my college, right? And it's not saying that you said anything incorrect, because I am in total agreement with you, Steve. Dr. Bowman, who just took over in Morehouse, he's the new president. And I think in these cases, you have to rely on your leadership team underneath you. Harold Ellis is not new to being an athletic director. He's not new to handling crisis situations. Right. Morehouse just had a situation at the beginning of the month, right? So where was Harold Ellis when all this transpired? I did not see him on the video at all. I saw Coach Dixon. He tried to intervene, but where was the AD? Those are the things that we have to be able to start talking about. And I think it's going to start coming out where happened with the breakdown in the leadership when it came to understanding how to get this taken care of and how to squash it and how to respond to the public, right? So those are great comments, great thoughts. But as far as Dr. Bowman is concerned, I thought he and his team would have had some sort of statement as of yet. That's what I was told earlier today that they would, but it hasn't come out at this moment.
Yeah, and this is I definitely get it. Yeah, of course, athletics has the first beat on it, and they're there. But as you said, it's a point where this has gone past athletics. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just as like the situation with the FAMU announcer. Back in, and I will say to the credit of both those universities, both Alabama State, their president got out in front of it and he put it out there. And then, President Johnson, I know, people feel however they feel about her, but she quickly got out there and responded and put it out there, because as we see how far that one reached. And so everyone, again, I think, and like you said, there was a situation earlier this month, and it's like, all right, it kind of went through the cracks there, and now you've got a potentially much bigger one now. And just it's tough, because as someone who loves HBCUs, love HBCU basketball, and specifically went to a school that's in Division II, you know, we get how those, one of the great things about it is the rivalries, and you know how exciting they are, and everybody's involved in, and the alumni want to come back, and everyone, you know, I just was at a game the other day, Winston-Salem State and Johnson C. Smith, and we got our butts kicked, but there was a lot of energy in the room, and you know, you know, you have to do that balance between the security, you know, with the security people that you have there, between letting the kids have a good time and creating those awesome atmospheres, especially when we're talking about the football guys in there. You want the football team involved. You want them there trolling, you know, making it a great atmosphere. I know over in the CIAA, most of our gyms are so small that you can literally, when the guys can inbound the ball, the fans can literally breathe
Right
down
there.
their necks, and it makes for great fun. It makes for great content. You know, but it's like, you know, when the game is over, having that respect of the people who are on, you know, respecting the whole thing. And I hate to see it to where it goes to the other end, to where we try to cut all the fun out of it as well. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, people get paid in these jobs to respond to this type of stuff. And, you know, again, this ain't 1985. This is 2026. So
Yeah. The one thing that strikes me, and as I think about that video, and I think about Coach Dixon trying to de-escalate that situation. Again, we don't know this to be a fact, but I'd be willing to bet to some degree that officer is not someone who is regularly at Morehouse basketball games. And I say that because if you're seeing the head coach of the basketball program, who, if the AD is not around, the most senior person is the head basketball coach, and he comes over and is telling the security guard, hey, let's not do this here. You would think that someone who knows, and I'm speculating, I'm purely speculating, but I'm thinking that somebody who knows that is the head coach, has a respect for that position and where he is, would say, okay, coach, but I didn't appreciate what he said to me. Immediately as a coach, I'd be like, I understand. Let me, because the coach usually knows the security people. Right. If it's somebody who is a regular at those games.
Well, yeah, and I got it. And but to give him grace, that's good, Brian, but still.
No. I'm saying
I'm coming from a guy who was been on that campus, man. No. Those guys are full of power sometimes. And even when I was on the campus, it was about power, and they pushed students around especially when cameras weren't around. We didn't have cameras back then in the mid 80s to late 90s, late 80s when I was there, right?
Yeah.
So they still acted the same way and performed their duties in the same manner. But if you look at the video, whatever Coach Dixon was trying to intervene in, whatever he said to Coach Dixon when he backed off, you know, this guy was full of himself.
Hey, and the crazy part, think about this, guys. I don't think I'm too crazy in this when I say I'm trying to put myself as a coach of basketball who has gone through many of lines. If I had been upset about a situation that I saw, the fact that the poise of Coach Taylor to not be like, what are you doing? I mean, just let your mind go and just think if Coach Taylor instantly jerks away from this guy putting his cuffs on him, I said, what are you doing? Worse. You know what? I mean, God, it could have been so much more dramatic, and worse than what we saw in that video.
And it didn't have to be, because
It
now,
didn't have to be.
and because now, I mean, you just got that visual of the coach being, no matter what the story, no matter what the story and the details are, you know, you got the coach being walked off the court in handcuffs.
Handcuffs. Yep.
Point blank, period. It all comes back to that. And then he wasn't arrested. He wasn't doing anything. It was just like it just, again, appears the ultimate power trip. And again, you know, when you're talking about what's going on in the world with ICE and all of these things, and it's like, you know, HBCUs are supposed to be the one place in the world that we can go and not have to deal with this type of treatment. Not, you know, feel like, okay, at least I don't got to worry about this. I might have to worry about somebody acting a damn fool, but it's not. Since AD's not here, I'm gonna curse for him. But you know, it's you know, but without somebody acting a fool on me about this, it might be about something else. But you know, it goes to it go. There's a whole lot at play here. A lot of lessons to be learned, and a lot of things to be taken from. Not the least of all is, hey, think about what you're doing before you do it, because you know, I'm sure that guy probably didn't think. For that officer probably didn't think he was going to be, you know, all over the world, but he is now. That's where we are.
Yeah, look, and the crazy part, you know, and I'm thinking about how you mentioned how national media and attention has picked this up. Last night, Jeff Goodman, a very look, I love college basketball, so I know who he is, and probably a lot of athletic people in the sports media know who Goodman is. He covers college basketball. He's retweeting it. I heard it got picked up by USA Today and other sites. Probably, I mean, obviously, Kyle, your articles via the SI network. Steve, you have the network that you guys are affiliated with, so your stories get picked up nationally.
And McClatchy, so that's Miami, Charlotte, Raleigh, some major markets.
Right, and so, and I'm thinking, hey, here we are, college basketball season, Kyle. One of the biggest promotional advertising campaigns during the college basketball tournament features two Morehouse men, right? Sam, Spike, and Chuck, right? Chuck being the one that's obviously not a Morehouse man, right?
Right.
But
right.
And I'm just thinking the negative PR, because somebody's going to tie all that together. You watch in the next day or two when this story comes out, you know, depending upon how much coverage about the weather storm gets picked up on Monday morning, but somebody's going to draw that parallel that this happened at the same university where, hey, Sam Jackson, and so you know what I'm saying. So it just
I got it, and I get it, and Morehouse administration and leadership has to get on, and that's all.
You got to come out.
We can
and
really
say
say something has to come out. Bottom line.
Last thought for you guys. Let me.
One key thing,
ahead,
and this is my last thought.
Yeah.
One key thing from this memo coming from Harry Daniels, he said the attorneys say that there's currently an investigation and all legal avenues, including are possible for a civil lawsuit, right? And he said Coach Taylor is a good man who did the right thing, which he did. He did not try to retaliate. Right?
He didn't resist, which is what they like to throw out there.
To protect his team and de-escalate a dangerous situation. And this officer put him in chains for his troubles. Chains. That reference the there.
Chain, huh? Wow.
Think about it. That reference of chains, and we're talking about our freedom, as well as Steve, you can attest to this as well. Our freedom as journalists is under attack as well. Now our freedoms as sport lovers and as a sporting coach is under attack based upon officers just taking things to a new level. There's got to be a better part of training. There's got to be some reconditioning there with this officer and the officers at Morehouse College, in my opinion. That's coming from alum. Okay.
My last thought for both of you, again, going back to the conference level and what we would expect, or what should people expect from the conference statement about, the fact that now you've had two incidents, and I don't even know if the conferences commented on the first incident or we had a resolution to that incident. regarding Savannah State. But now this incident, I mean, what should the conference, what should fans expect from the conference? And you think from a conference perspective, I mean, what are your thoughts there, Steve, and then Kyle?
Yeah, I've only known Commissioner Dr. Holloway to be, forward thinking and to be forthcoming. Whether we have a conversation that's on record or off the record. That's what I've come to know and expect from him in moments. So, I don't know if, and I haven't had a chance to speak with him, so I don't know if they're waiting for Morehouse to, give their piece as the home institution. But I think we're definitely going to need to hear something from them. And, it's tough. I mean, I've had this similar, I know a couple weeks ago, a lot of people felt some type of way when the CAA announced that they publicly reprimanded North Carolina A&T head coach and my fellow WSSU alumnus, Monte Ross, for, whatever happened with him and the referees at one of their games. I know some people felt some type of way, but I feel like a lot of times, unfortunately, and I love our conferences. We go, myself and game day, we work with the conferences sometimes, and just so we talk to them a lot. A lot of times, I think sometimes we do a little too much in the name of protecting folks, and not enough accountability. And so, I would, like I said, a lot of people felt some type of way about the public reprimand. I think there's probably needed to be some public reprimands of folks in our HBCU conferences more than there have been, just because, not that we're full of people who aren't following the rules and are going rogue, but just, hey, for that level of accountability for situations like this, because I say how you do anything is how you do everything. Because then when you get to a situation like this, you're like, oh, what do we do? How do we go? How do we go about it? So, again, this is a situation. A lot of teams didn't. Again, here in North Carolina, a lot of teams didn't even play with the weather and everything like that. And so, on a normal game day, I don't even know if it would have been as easily to catch on my radar, but they played the game. And the game was streamed and people are there with cameras. And so there's no hiding this. So I would hope that the same response that I had, seeing the initial video was the same response that the people at Morehouse would have had. And also the commissioner, which is, hey, let's go into contextualizing what happened and figuring out how to get out in front of this before people run with a whole bunch of narratives. So,
Kyle,
Steve said it great. He said it very well for us. But bottom line, my alma mater has to do better. The leadership has to do better. That's it.
Gotcha. Before we close the segment, I thought we would. Well, I was going to say spin it on a positive note, but this may not be positive. But let's spin it to the action on the court involving both of your alma maters. Kyle, the HBCU basketball longest winning streak is 9 games in a row for Coach Dixon and the Morehouse men following the win over Tuskegee. What do you like from what you've seen from this team? And I'm not going to ask how long will it last, but it was a good month of January despite some of the other stuff going on.
Yeah, January was very, very good to us. So I like what we saw. They played very well. The one thing I am appreciating from the Morehouse basketball team is the leadership, Coach Dixon. And if you look at how he's preparing the young men, they're doing very well. But I love those locker room celebrations of his afterward. He's doing a very good job engaging with those young guys. You can see the passion is there. That's something I hadn't seen since we had a very good team back in 86 and 87 back in Morehouse days. Way back. And when we went to the Division II playoffs back in 91 or 92, if I'm not mistaken, those things are, you can see that passion, you can see the things rolling with the team. So go Maroon Tigers.
Well said. Stephen, the Lady Rams had one of the nation's longest winning streaks going into, well, when we did this show last week, 16 in a row. We knew they had some tough road games ahead. And one of those contests they went to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and they went up against the powerhouse that is the Lady Broncos. 72-57. The streak comes to an end. But they rebounded though. The next game, beating Johnson C. Smith. What's your feelings? The end of the streak, but hey, you get a win and you start a new streak.
Well, I rode down to Fayetteville, which I'm not shy about saying is not my favorite place in the world or in North Carolina. I just don't like that place in general. No disrespect to it, but yeah, we all have those places.
We
but
all
I said,
have
hey,
those
you know
places,
what?
yes.
Yeah.
We all have those places, but you know what? I said I'm gonna roll down, see if they can do it, because I will give props to Fayetteville State coach Tyrese Bryan and those young ladies. They have really been the standard in the CIAA the last couple of years. And they have 3 titles in the CIAA in this decade. So, they've been on a really great run. And unlike our football program and our men's basketball program, who have dominated Fayetteville State throughout history, going back 80, 90 years, have dominated. Yes. We have 12 championships to their 3 in CIAA and to their 4 in CIAA his football, and we have 13 of their 2 in men's basketball. But hey, besides the point, their women have they've had the blue ponies. I call them WSS Blue because all they do is copy us down to our chants. They have dominated.
I saw a video about some copied chants. Oh,
yeah. It's so hard to be a Ram. That is the chant. And some way, somehow, these folks have co-opted that, and they've got it to some god-awful, so proud to be a Bronco. It doesn't even sound right. It doesn't even
correctly.
It doesn't even sound. I need a video. Now this is gonna be the CIAA basketball version of the debate about who played neck first. Because show me the Broncos singing that before 3 years ago when their AD, their head football coach, and a lot of other people came over from Winston-Salem State. But anyway, they took care of business. Shout out to the Lady Broncos. They very excited with themselves. The 2-time defending champions were very excited about a win over a team that they've dominated. Where they're storming the court, they're stomping, they're B-to-A-N, like it was February 28th. That just shows us that's what it means to beat WSSU in the CIAA, specifically in the state of North Carolina, even in a program that's not been good. But yes, they got the one win, and the men, God bless them. We don't even need to talk about it. But you know what? I saw that one coming as soon as they hired Devin Hearn as the coach over at Fayetteville. Anyway, yeah. So the Lady Rams bounced back. So we'll get there. They'll come, God willing, and the snow doesn't rise. They will be into the non-friendly confines of CE Gaines Center, where we look to exact retribution for the women. The men, God bless them, but the women, And I'm telling you right now, in a month. At the end of this month, February 28th, Black history will be made. Black history will be made because Winston-Salem State University women's basketball will be cutting down the nets in Baltimore. I will be underneath the net as they cut it down. You heard it here first.
All right.
So you're saying will that be the first? Will that be the first?
That will be the first.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
But before I go, I got to leave you with this. If I was a Bronco, no, I tell you what I do. What? I get the next bus headed back to WSSU. Whoa, so hard to be a Ram. So hard to be a RAMS. Woo! There we go. Doesn't that sound better than so proud to be a ROS?
That sounds good, Steve.
If that's
Sounds
the
good,
original,
man.
that's solid. Yeah, that's it works.
Steve
better
brought in
with
the
a-
baritone as
We got
well.
documentaries named So Hard to Be a Ram, and now they're gonna say that they created it. Please.
It works better with a four-letter word than let me see, BRONC. What's that, 7 or 8? So yeah, it does sound a lot better coming out like that. Look at y'all, man. Wow, good job. All right, so the standings real quick in the Southern Division of the CIAA on the women's side. Right now, although Winston-Salem State has a 17-2 overall record, at 8-1 in conference, they are one game behind Fayetteville State, who's what do? Do they count division first, then conference? How is it broken down in the CIAA?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. From year to year, I don't know. Some years it is the overall. Then 2 it is division. You know, so I don't know. Your guess is as good as guess as mine. But I think they at one point they went away from division. But then coaches had bonuses that were related to winning division titles. So, you know, WSSU, we only count championships. You know, Fayetteville State, they do that division title thing, you know. But, you know.
Boy,
Steve's on roll today, boy.
I love it when we are look, y'all thought it was just me. Maybe it's just something about this show where we invite pettiness.
Do you know that before they won that championship in 2022? They had not won the championship since 1974 in basketball. Please.
Long time.
You know, they got that NC Promise money. They got a nice arena. You know, it's nicer than ours, but it don't got soul. And it's only full when the Rams come to town. Now check that.
You heard that. You heard it.
I have got to find my way to the CIAA this year.
I got to get my face back, man. Them Broncos, we got to get our face back, man. We got to remind them of who really runs this state.
All right. So do we think there'll be games played this week in North Carolina? Or probably they're going to postpone some games with given this snow stuff?
I think tomorrow we're going to get above I think the next couple of days are going to be above freezing. So that's going to be good. Cause like I said, we got ice last week that didn't necessarily melt everywhere. And there's snow on top of that. I think games will pick up on Wednesday. I know the Lady Rams and the men Rams will be heading up to Richmond. I don't think Richmond got it too bad. And Coach Terry will be going to her old stomping grounds. And then next week, I think by next week, folks will be back on Saturday. So I think we're going to be good from here on out. As long as the sun continues to do what it does and the temperatures do what they need them to do from here on out. We hope so. Cause some teams are going a week between games and it's pretty rough out here.
Steve, if I'm reading this correctly on the weather.com, Winston-Salem tonight is going to be below at 10 degrees.
Yeah, I mean since I got back the night I got back from the Celebration Bowl, I believe we were at like maybe 8 or 9. So it's been a pretty cold winter mixed in with some of those warm days. So people like to say we're not the South. Some of those people deep in the South, Alabama and Mississippi, they like to say we're not the South. We are definitely the South, but we'll get hit with some weather every now and then. So.
Look, here in Texas, man, if it goes below 60, these people are freezing. So that's how we go.
Well, we're in a similar situation. We got 20s coming at us tonight, and they're talking about, I just got another call from my utility company. They already called earlier, and they said, hey, can you cut the electricity off, or not the electricity, but cut the heat off? If you're using it, conserve. And then I don't even know what this most latest call is. I mean, they're putting us on rations here with the heat and electricity. So, Florida, man, we don't know how to act.
Well, God bless you guys, man.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. We got the top 5 rankings to debut. I don't know if you got time to hang out or if you got to run. Kyle, same thing to you. I don't know if you got to run.
I've got a hard stop. I apologize, guys.
That's all right.
Steve, good seeing you, man. Bryan,
yes, sir.
Thank you, guys. Go out there and support, and we'll keep an eye out on what's happening with this situation at Morehouse and Tuskegee. All right.
Right.
You guys take care of that.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and take a break here. Come back on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan Fulford and SJG, a.k.a. Stephen J. Gaither of HBCUGameDay.com, joining me here. Again, got to thank Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. Might have lost Steve. He's going to try to adjust his audio setup. Again, for you guys, if you do a search, HBCU Legends, or you can simply go si.com/college/HBCU. That'll bring you right to HBCU Legends. So either way, but definitely make sure you're following HBCU Legends on the social media angle, and there you can get all of Kyle's work. Again, for those of you who maybe joining us mid-show or a little bit late in the process, my co-host, AD Drew, of course, many of you all know of his responsibilities outside of co-hosting this show and working with Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We thought it was best to kind of do our opening segment without AD. I'm not going to read the statement again from Drew, but I think if you recognize the situation and kind of the deep discussions that we had in the first hour of the show, it's Drew and all of the Morehouse folks are working to kind of gather all the information and do all the things they need to do. So he is very busy connecting dots and trying to make things happen. So I had Steve there for a second, but we lost him. I'll go through some of the standings here and want to thank all of you guys in the chats, whether you're watching us on the Black College Sports Network, MyJBN Online, on our Facebook page, on our Black College Sports Network Facebook page also, or our BCSN pages as well. We appreciate you joining us, and hit the thumbs up and the like button if you would. And again, always fascinating to kind of have the guys who are boots on the ground covering this stuff. So, but over in the CIAA, the standings right now, the Fayetteville State Broncos are now in control of the Southern Division with the longest winning streak. They now have an 8-game winning streak after defeating Winston-Salem State earlier in the week. Let's see if we got Steve. Can you hear me now, Steve?
I'm good now. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, just I don't know if you want to mute your, I hate to tell you to hide, but I'm just kind of giving people the rundown on the standings in the CIAA. In first place, of course, Fayetteville State by just a game over Winston-Salem State. Over in the Northern Division, the Virginia schools are doing what they usually do. Virginia State is in first place right now, 14-5 overall, 7-3 in conference, 4-1 in division, followed by Virginia Union at 12-6, and Bluefield State women. This is the women at 12-7. Let me see if I can jump over to the men's standings here very briefly. In the Northern Division of the men in the CIAA, it's Virginia Union, winners of 4 in a row still. 20-3 overall, 9-2 in conference, 5-1 in division play with that lead over Virginia State. Right now in the Northern Division. In the South, it's the Fayetteville State men. Coach Hearn, new coach, 8-game winning streak. So the Fayetteville State Broncos with a pair of 8-game winning streaks for the men and women. Fayetteville, Steve will say they are not, but I was about to say Fayetteville State, a basketball school, and he will probably say no.
They've had a good run. No, I know. It's interesting as you look up the standings. You look at Bluefield State's men. They're coached by DeLessio, who just left Fayetteville State, and he led them to their best. He led them to their best era in modern basketball. I mean, he won 66% of his games while he was there. And he previously coached at Bowie State, where he really, turned their fortunes around and won them some CIAA champions at the beginning of this century. So he's a great coach. And he really took that program from being, really just another CIAA program to being, right up there at front, competing with the Virginia Unions, with the Winston-Salem States, the programs that are traditionally the basketball schools. Again, it doesn't hurt that they have that NC Promise, that tuition. They've been able.
What is that? What is that? For those who don't know, who are not part of the North Carolina system, what is that? Explain a little bit of that.
So NC Promise is, and again, and Elizabeth City has it too. So this is no way to downgrade, but just to kind of give context to the rise specifically of the basketball. Not only did you have Coach DeLessio, but you have NC Promise. NC Promise makes tuition $500 for in-state students and $1,500 for out-of-state students. And I think that was the initial. I think it has changed a little bit with inflation, but still a lot. So it's a lot less expensive to go to Fayetteville State or Elizabeth City State than it is to Winston-Salem State. When it initially came out back in 2015, actually Winston-Salem State and Fayetteville State both fought to get off of it. We went down to the Capitol and fought to get off of it, but Fayetteville had a change in leadership, and they brought in that NC Promise, and the football program was already on an upward trajectory. Basketball, kind of lingered behind, but they were able to, so it makes it a lot cheaper to get fully funded with your athletic, your scholarships when the tuition goes down that much. So, kudos to them for taking advantage of it. And then Coach DeLessio came in and immediately turned them into a contender. I think they were in the championship game for his first year in 2020. They lost to the Rams, but they and then the next time we had one, they won a championship, which was their first championship since 1974. You know, my parents were in elementary school, and I'm 40 now, so that tells you, you know, how long it was.
74 was a great year, though. 74
so,
was a great
you
year.
know, it's so yeah, I mean, so Coach DeLessio made that a much better job than it has been. I did my CIAA job rankings, and
I saw that. I saw that. That's a great transition.
You know, so he made it a much better job, but you know, they decided to go. I thought it was it was eerie how all of that happened, to be honest with you.
Was that a culture? Was that I felt like when I looked at, and I put this out there yesterday. Hold on. I think I still got the graphic up. Let me see if I still. Nope, I think I deleted it. But when you look at it, and I'm just saying it what it is, it seemed like it was a culture thing. Like, hey, we wanted to go younger, more hip, for lack of a cooler word. You know what I'm saying? They went. It feels like they went with a different type of culture. Not that DeLessio. I mean, I don't know what your sources tell you. I mean, I don't know that he was doing anything that didn't translate to winning, because he was winning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which shocked everybody. It's like, wait a minute, the guy's winning. Why are you getting rid of him?
Yeah, I mean, he won. If I'm not mistaken, he won the Big House Games Award. Wonder what that award is named after. You know, he won that award last year, coaching the HBCU All-Star Game, and then during the All-Star Game, it came out that he wasn't going to be back with Fayetteville State, and literally the same day that came out, the news came out that Devin Hearn was not going to be back with Bluefield State. I'm like, no way, but it has to be. And then the next day, Devin Hearn's named the head coach at Bluefield at Fayetteville State, and then a couple weeks later, you know, DeLessio gets hired there. You know, again, when I'm doing this story and we talked about the Field of 48 earlier, it was actually inspired by what they did, but I had a different twist on it. I know I just kind of went with, you know, my institutional knowledge and I talked to a couple former coaches and things like that to get some insights about what would be, because I knew they weren't going to do a D2 one. So I was like, what would be the best jobs in the CIAA? And when you look at it, Fayetteville, again, I don't know if this is the downside to that NC promise where you're not, you know, where I don't know if that is that, but I do remember looking when Cleo Hill went on up to that big Maryland Eastern Shore in the sky. I was looking up salaries, and I saw that, you know, Coach DeLessio wasn't making as much as I thought would be made for someone who had as much success as he had. Then when I did my list the other day, I looked at what Coach Hearn's salary is, and I mean, let's say this. Their coach, you know, he has, you know, in the last 3 seasons, he had one of the shocks of the CIAA tournament. He took down my Rams, who looked like they were going for a repeat. Then last year they made it to the CIAA championship game and the Division II playoffs to get hired at Fayetteville State, and his salary was significantly less than the head coach over at WSSU, Coach Corey Thompson, who came in 2024 as a new coach, a first-time college head coach. There's about a third, more than $30,000 salary difference. So, you know, I don't know if it was a money situation where, hey, they felt like they could get somebody, you know, younger and a little bit less expensive, but I know it's worked out for him, and I kind of felt like it would, because I think for him, this is a great job, and with the, you know, again, with the things that they have, and they really do have, outside of Virginia State, they've got the best arena in the CIAA, and probably better than a couple of them in MEAC, if we're being honest. You know, with the facilities and with everything that's going on at Fayetteville State, I feel like it's a great position to him. Who knows, he might be out of there in a couple of years. I wouldn't be mad, but you know, he's a young guy. He plays a fun style of basketball, and yeah, it definitely was a basketball culture change for sure, because they went from being a heavily defensive style, like Coach DeLessio was like, hey, if we score 60 and win, I'm good with it. You know, Coach Hearn, you know, if they're not scoring 90, something's wrong. So, you know, it's been interesting to watch from the outside, and you know, who knows? But Coach DeLessio, he's at a place where I had Bluefield State at the bottom of my list,
Yeah.
He's turned the corner there, and he's got those guys playing. I mean, he's just a really good basketball coach. He knows how to assess what he has and get the most out of it. So we could see them match up in the CIAA. I think there's a lot of fun things. Even over at Bluefield State, I also shout out their women's basketball team. They just took down Virginia State, who is the leader in the CIAA North. And, despite the 15-point win for WSSU women, they had them kind of, they stayed close for a good part of the game. So, and they just so happen to be coached by Paul Davis, who happens to be the all-time leading shot blocker at WSSU. But he's doing an amazing job with that program over there. And the CIAA tournament is going to be interesting for men and women. I think, you got Fayetteville in the women's side, you got Fayetteville State. Obviously, they're the champions until they're taken down. You got Winston-Salem State, they're emerging. And then you got Bluefield State kind of coming out of nowhere. You got Virginia State, and you can't even count out Virginia Union. So, really looking forward to the CIAA tournament, as always, this year.
I put for you guys in the chat. I put the link to Steve's article on the ranking the CIAA coaching jobs. Now that's the men's. Are you're now this whole thing came as a result of, as you mentioned, the field. Who was it? Was it the Field of 68 that was doing the?
Yeah,
they were talking to. Yeah, so they were doing the men's programs. Are you going to follow this up with something for the the SIC, and will you do a women's version of this? Do you think you'll go down that rabbit hole?
I think the women's version would kind of read similar. I'll tell you this. Let me give you this nugget right here. That's if I do it or if I don't. I think this should be known. Virginia State was my number one, if you don't know, and I ranked that for several reasons. One of them was facilities. Again, they have that beautiful multi-purpose center, which in my dreams we would get one of those. Which again, to me is the best basketball facility on the East Coast in terms of HBCUs, period. Wow. On the East Coast. I wouldn't count FAMU as the East Coast now that y'all are in the SWAC, but I think FAMU, from what I saw of FAMU when I did go in there, that's, those two are probably the best two if you're really going up and down the East Coast, even though there's some other good ones, but it's an impressive facility and they really get the most out of it. But they also pay really well. I mean, their coach, and I talked about this last year. I talked about this last year when, FAMU was talking about how much Coach Crary was going to be paid. I said that, Virginia State's head coach makes more than that. And, I got the official numbers before I got this, and this was $191,000 for a D2 coach at an HBCU. And again, you look at the numbers from some of your public HBCUs in Division I, they're paying the same, if not less. So, it's so by far I rank that the number one job. But also, their women's basketball coach is making Millette Green, her first year, she's making $143. Wow. She's making $143. And yes, right, definitely right there. But she's making $143, which is more than any of the men salaries that I could confirm. And the CIAA is kind of tough, and I'm guessing it'd be tough in the SIC too because so many schools are private. So that would be the one that would kind of be one hindrance for me doing there. I think the women's side, it would kind of be the same. It's hard to, when you're talking about jobs, it's hard to ignore getting paid that much and having a nice facility to be into, and the fact that in Virginia, as far as Division II basketball, you're not competing with a lot of schools. So all those reasons, I have VSU number one. I had WSSU number two. I went back and forth between that and VUU. Both of them have the same Achilles heel, and that is facilities. Both of them, national championship winning programs, Hall of Fame coaches, NBA basketball players, Hall of Fame, all of those things. But both of them are still using, antiquated gymnasiums. The building over at Virginia Union, I believe, was built for the 1939 World's Fair. So it's like it's like the Boston Garden.
I was gonna say it's like
That's like the
throwbacks. It's
Boston
like
Garden,
throwback in
and the
time.
game center is like the LA Forum. It's like the Garden and the Forum,
Yes,
or
and you want
Madison
to see
Square
what
Garden.
basketball was like 20 years, 30 years ago.
Go there, but it's not when you're comparing. So yeah, I got a couple calls and some eyeballs from some coaches. So I don't know. Cost, and I even looked at things like cost of living as well. I mean, Petersburg isn't super high. I had fun with that. I don't know. With the SIC, it probably has to be a lot of more research. That kind of formula I had for a while for this AA, and now it makes sense to kind of to piggyback off.
Let me see. We still got you. Okay, I still got you. I'm starting to losing you there. Your connection.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay, good. Good. All right.
I hear you. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah. You're good. You're better. Fascinating stuff. But I love those kind of articles and those kind of narratives and information because it really does, and it made me think, okay, so is Virginia State and Virginia Union benefiting because of things that are maybe happening from a state level? Is it administration within the university that makes those jobs so appealing? And then you mentioned, like you said, Winston-Salem State, Virginia Union, they have the history. And it's like, wow, if you had a basketball multi-purpose facility similar to what maybe Fayetteville State or even Virginia State had, what would life look like for you? And maybe it's not that you're not doing well, but how much better could it be if you had better, overall facilities, So
I think for me, the state of Virginia is doing. I mean, even though we're bordered right beside each other, and people like to often group us with the other Carolina. A lot of ways there are a lot more similarities with Virginia, but Virginia does not have as many HBCUs. We have many more here in North Carolina, but the ones that they do have, they are doing a really good job of supporting them. Again, Virginia State and Norfolk State are the two state HBCUs versus the 5 that we have here in North Carolina. So you take that into consideration, but they also do some things for Virginia Union as well. That multi-purpose center is a game changer up there, for Union being a private school, it's amazing to have done what they've done. I think traditionally they played a lot of their games in the Richmond Coliseum, but with that having gone down and things like that, it's just like we played a lot of our games in the Coliseums over in Winston-Salem for a long time, but that kind of but now Wake Forest owns that. So we're limited to the game center, which the capacity is 2,400. There are literally no seats. There are no backs of seats anywhere. So it's bleachers all the way. So everybody, unless you bring your own seat, that's you're going to be it's not the most comfortable viewing experience. It's hot in there. Even like if we were to go in there right now, even though it's snowing, everybody would be warm because there's a pool in there that keeps it warm. So those are some advantages. Yeah, you think what it would be like to have those. Again, I know at WSSU, a lot of our games, alumni would like to come, but a lot of games, once you get to this back end of the schedule, if you're not in the building by the start of the game, you're not going to get in. And coming from out of town to a game and hoping you can get in isn't always a winning proposition. No. So I will say Virginia State, I would say their atmosphere probably suffer some for the niceness of the arena because it's so plush, it's so comfortable. Everybody doesn't have to sit on top of each other. That atmosphere maybe not as intimidating maybe as their previous gym, but it's very fascinating. But even in all those, Shaw by far is the smallest gym, the most intimate gym. And literally, when Jay-Z has that line where he says, "I'm spiked out, I can trip a referee," that can really happen at Shaw University, Spalding Arena. But it's a great place to play and to watch a game if you can get in. So I think those small venues are what add to what makes CIAA basketball great. I mean, you can even attest to Bethune-Cookman, their gym. I know I've heard you guys, make some jokes about it, but I'm sure it doesn't take nearly as many people to get it full and fired up. And y'all have that nice arena, but y'all have to, shepherd people into there a lot of games.
Hey, look,
so
back in the day when Gaither Gymnasium, which I think
great name by the way.
Yeah, when it seated about 3,500, I think was the capacity before they built the Al Lawson Center in Tallahassee. That place was rocking. I mean, 3,500 is not really hard to fill up on a campus of 10,000 students.
Right.
So that part right there. But the energy that you can, and then you have the pep band there. So the energy would be awesome for games. And that's what sometimes can be missed when you go bigger, brighter, larger, and don't carry over with the winning as well. Because when the winning doesn't follow the new stadium, you're in a lot of emptiness.
Yeah, and I tell people a lot of times, like people will say go to CIAA tournament, and the CIAA tournament is great, but going to a place like Brave Boy Gymnasium on Beatty's Ford Road, Johnson C. Smith, if you're not familiar, that's one of those places. Also, if you go up the road 45 minutes to Monroe Street in Salisbury, you go to the Den of the Blue Bears, another team that likes to think there's Winston-Salem State's rival. But they have a great atmosphere, and they're putting a lot into their presentation. You talk about Shaw, you talk about a lot of those smaller buildings that really have a lot of flavor to them. So it's exciting. I think my next ranking is going to be probably even more controversial. It's going to be of the CIAA network streams.
Oh, it's funny you say that because as I was at home watching SWAC TV and watching the broadcast of the FAMU game at Alabama A&M, it got me to thinking, man, I wonder if I should spend the month of February really watching and come out with a ranking of the best broadcast, amongst the SWAC TV for basketball coverage, because anybody who knows me and has worked with me, I'm very critical, but I kind of see a lot of the details and things as it relates to TV production. And so I thought, hey, this would be a fascinating thing. So it's kind of interesting that you talked about ranking, the CIA network, because I think we need to hear it. I mean, it needs to be heard. It needs to be put out there. And, unfortunately, I don't know how transparent numbers are within the CIA network for you. But I think it would also be fascinating to one day get some transparency from the SWAC to see who are those schools that are bringing in those large numbers that we hear Dr. McClellan talk about. Who are those schools, that are, even if it were, hey, these are the top 3, or the top 4. I mean, there's 12 schools, so give me the top third. Who are the top 4 schools in terms of their broadcast coverage? And I'm willing to bet that their broadcast coverage is somehow linked to viewership. I mean, sure, alumni matters, but also I think at some point there's a tie-in with the coverage as well. So it's like coverage, the success of your team, and then, your alumni base.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. The CIAA network has been around since, I believe, 2017, 2018. And very early on, it was a wide range of quality.
I remember.
And it was kind of like the Wild Wild West. But it was free. It was on the Roku, and things like that. And so, since then, they have come into some deals that have landed all of the schools some basic cameras. Like they have the Huddle wide camera for everybody now. So everybody has that basic one. And I think it's, one of the things I'm looking at is how are people maximizing what they have? Because even within the same conference, even within the same state, there's varying levels depending on, sometimes it may depend on, your folks up top, your ADs, how much they are putting up on this. Some of it may intend on your sports information directors and how much energy and time they're able to put into it. I'll tell you right now, I give Fayetteville State a lot of crap here, but Adrian Ferguson at SID, a Livingstone grad and former SID at Livingstone and WSSU. We always have those ties back around. He does a really great job over there at Fayetteville State. Their broadcast, them and Livingstone and Shaw, they don't just give you that wide camera. They actually have, multi cameras, multi views. They give you replays, and they have graphics. Some of them have post game shows. So those are the types of things that I'm measuring and putting into my metrics as far as ranking the broadcast there, and then different levels of broadcast. Some have some really senior polished broadcasters who do a great job. My guy, John Emmett over VSU Voice. If you guys haven't interviewed him, you guys need to interview him. He does a great job there. And he really has a great sense of institutional knowledge. You got Donald Ware over from Box to Row, who does for Shaw University. He and his partner Damon, they do a great job. My guy
he does Shaw as well as A&T stuff, because I know Donald has done A&T stuff. He does both.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Donald's everywhere. So
he's everywhere.
Him and the guys over at Winston, I love them too. Ken Winfrey and John Williams. So there's a lot of really good work that's being done there. Now some folks have gone with some young, mixed in an old veteran and some younger. So some of them aren't as sharp. Some of them need to work on trying with their pronunciations. And that ends up in our, you'd be surprised at things that they end up in our WSSU group chat. But yes, so there's some smoke for several, some smoke for several announcers there. But it's fun to do. And hopefully it just like the CIAA jobs, hopefully it gives, hey, it's one man's opinion, but it is, as somebody who's watched and followed the league since 2012 consistently, hopefully they take that into consistency, and everybody takes a little bit more pride about it. Like I said, I already got calls. I already got text about my list. Jeff was letting me know because I did mention location, and hey, some of that might be biased, but I think there's certain locations that are more ideal than others. I did call Elizabeth City remote, which may feel some type of way, but
remote.
My grandmother's from that part of the state, and so I say it with affection. And yes, they are close to the Tidewater of Virginia, but it's in my experience, again, having family that are from there, it's tough to get people to come into that region from other places. And a lot of times some of your best talent that's in that region wants to go to other places. And so that's kind of why I had location on them. Other places like a Shaw, they got a great location. They're private. I don't know what they're paying Coach Collins. And then you got the facilities, which, that is that as well. So, but I hope, I think it's always great to have that, hopefully as a measuring stick, and people, put pride in their programs. I know everybody, is talking about money and things like that. And of course that always matters, but, maximizing what you have and bringing up the standard, I think is definitely important.
The metric, I don't know if you have a metric when you get into dealing with broadcast, is, and you talked about using that vehicle, how many schools within the network have their own advertising?
Yeah.
How many of them have none? How many of them use maybe just the standard? Like, I obviously the SWAC has certain commercials that they use, but for example, does the CIA network have, or does the CIA conference send the schools some of the sponsors and say, hey, can you run these during your broadcast? You know, that's an interesting thing to look at as well.
Yeah, I think the CIAA has some standard stuff that they have. I mean, obviously their CIAA branding, they have that there, and then I think it's kind of like, you know, I think there are some partners there, but some schools do run their own. Pretty much, I think all the schools run their own app. They're free to run their own advertisements as well. Some of them are, just nice 30-second, clips, and some of them are like really infomercials of their university where they actually go in and interview students or interview student athletes and talk about it, during the halftime situation instead of just giving you a view of the court for 15 minutes or, so, and I'm going to tell you right now, I love WSSU. They're not going to be number one. Let me tell you that for the streaming. They're not going to be number one. But I'm trying to quantify everything that I do. And again, it's something that I think is it'll be good. It'll be good fodder. And I see Mo Carter talking about seeing rankings of the SWAC TV broadcast. I have a feeling, when I get to Baltimore for the CIAA, there might be some people that want to run up on me, but hey, that's usual. I'm used to that by now, so it'll be all good.
But you know what? The fascinating thing about that, Steve, you will probably get people say, man, I'm so glad you did that article because you're calling out things that I've been saying we need to do for like at least a year or two.
Yeah.
Now that you said it.
I know they're in Winston-Salem group chats, so they got to be in other people's group chats as well, like, what's going on. So some folks are doing a really great job. I mean, you can tell. I mean, again, like I said, I was over there the other day at the Fayetteville State game and watching the operation that Adrian Ferguson has over there, and he's been in this game, since the 90s, watching, the operation that he has over there. And it's like they're like a well-oiled machine over there. And it shows in their broadcast. So, hopefully I'm going to get that done this week. I've watched most of them, but I'm giving everything a view with some fresh eyes while we're snowed in anyway. So and no games are actually going on.
There you go. I will definitely love to trade notes on your parameters and what you use and what kind of I've been thinking about over the last week.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, look.
You already said some of it, most of
your
it probably.
Announcers, your presentation. Do you have graphics? What are you doing for halftime?
Right.
Are you just letting people see the court? What's going on in the court if there's nothing special going on? All of those things. Do you have a post-game interview with your coach?
Yes.
Some schools do, some schools don't.
Shout out to Mo Carter and Coach Petway. Really enjoyed. Look, despite the fact that I had to watch both of my Rattler teams lose at Alabama A&M, I did enjoy watching the broadcast and listening to the broadcast. Mo and Coach Petway are so locked in and so engaging and just very knowledgeable. So, when your team in the SWAC goes to Alabama A&M, it may be painful, that game that they play, but the broadcast, you will enjoy the heck out of the broadcast. It was painful to watch at times.
And you noticed, and I mean, I think that's the other thing too. You notice when you look at the other broadcast versus your broadcast. So, again, I know every school is different. Every institution has different leadership and different things. But I love to see the growth in them. I've seen a lot of growth in some of them, not as much as in some of the others. And sometimes, you got to embarrass people into doing better.
Ooh, you said it. Let's get into some of the top five, the new BCSN top 5 computer rankings. And again, for those of you who aren't familiar, we do top 5 rankings, all computer-based metrics for the Division I, Division II, and NAIA levels for men and women. So that's 6 different rankings. These are not polls. We didn't go out and ask voters for their opinions. We just put the data into the computer, and the computer spits out rankings. Oftentimes, it surprises people what comes out. But I will say at the end of the day, by the time the season's over, the computer 95.9% of the time gets it right. There's always anomalies, but I'd say most of the time they get it right. All right, let's see what we're going to start with here, Steve, because let me see if I have this set up in order. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're going to start over in the NAIA level with the women's top 5 rankings to begin the new month, February. In the hunt, meaning these are schools that fall outside of the top 5. You've got Russ College, Xavier, Stillman, Philander Smith, and Talladega. So with the exception of, I always got to do my check here. I think with the exception of Xavier, everybody else is HBCU AC, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Top 5. Coming in at number 5, the Arkansas Baptist in the HBCU AC conference. The numbers there are the calculated average for the score. Number 4 is Wiley College, coming in at 4. Number 3, Oakwood HBCU AC team, 75.02. Number 2 is Paul Quinn. 80.92. I think these are all HBCU ACs, at least thus far. I got a feeling number 1 won't be, though. It is still leading at the top with a nice
gotta count
rating.
those ladies in.
Yeah, the Langston Lady Lions, 92.58, still number 1. Let me see. Have they come out with the new rankings at the NAIA level yet?
I have
that
not
come out this past week.
I have not seen those. I think I'm looking at this and it's like, okay, the jump from 6 to 5 is pretty. I mean, it's almost 10 points.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's pretty established where they are, and then 4 is kind of bunched in 2, and then you go up from there. So yeah,
there's a big difference between 1 and 2 to 2 to 5. It's like a nice jump there. All right. Moving over to the men's side. In the hunt, outside of the top 5 in the NAIA, Xavier coming in at number 6, if you wanted to do it that way. Philander Smith, Southern of New Orleans, or SUNO, as some people like to call them, and Dillard out of New Orleans. Coming in at number 5 in the BCSN top 5 rankings on the NAIA men's level, Stillman. And, Steve, every now and then our interns, they get a little rushed. And so, the graphics don't always match up. So Stillman come in at number 5. That is Stillman. Don't get fooled by the logo. Number 4, Talladega comes in at number 4. Talladega. And number 3, you can see the interns are all over the place with the logos. Tougaloo comes in at number 3. At 2, Arkansas Baptist, 86.33 points. Arkansas Baptist was number 2 last week. And that means, again, for the consecutive week, every week we've done this, the Langston men sitting atop the BCSN top 5 rankings, 87.21. But look at that margin, though, Steve. That is a very thin margin between Langston and Arkansas Baptist.
Yeah, thin between those two. Tougaloo kind of up there, and then you fall off a cliff after there. Talladega, Stillman there, and Xavier. So, yeah, I mean, again, Coach Wright and those guys, I mean, they seem like they can do no wrong at this point. So, everybody's that's expected, and it's like, until otherwise proven, or unless there's a collapse, everybody else is fighting for number 2.
Yeah. Do you think there is in football, when we do football, we kind of rank and group NAIA and Division II because of the scholarship situation. We rank them together. Do you think there is a similarity or or much of a difference between NAIA and Division II on the basketball front?
It's tough to say. Here in North Carolina, I know for sure there's not a lot of NAIA. And I think I was looking at a map. There's not a lot of NAIA really on the East Coast. So I don't think we get a lot of those matchups to know personally for me, like we do sometime in football. But I think Langston would match up with any of the best in the D2s as well. So I don't know. For me, it's kind of hard to say, not being able to really put eyes on it a lot. I know sometimes there is a little bit more crossover in the SIAC because they are a little bit closer to some of those teams in the HBCU AC. So I think more teams play basketball. So I like, because in football we only have 3 NAIA programs: Florida Memorial, Langston, and
Texas College.
And Texas College. Yeah, we only have 3 there, so it makes more sense there. Whereas with basketball, everybody in the NAIA plays basketball, so I think it's great to let them have their own poll and give them some shine, because then it's a little bit different.
And to answer your question, Blue Jackie, yes, Coach Chris Wright is still the men's coach at Langston, and does an excellent job. And like I said, I just wonder, not that I'm pushing anybody to leave a job, but man, it makes you wonder. It's like, how much longer will he be at Langston? So yeah, and I'm told that on the football front, Arkansas Baptist also has a football program.
Okay.
We were talking about NAIA, so they also have so 4 NAIA football programs. Let's take a look at the Division II rankings here as we get a little closer here in the NCAA. This is the Division II women's top 5 rankings. Just outside of the top 5, Virginia State, Clark Atlanta, and Allen. Just outside of the top 5. That means number 5 from out of the SIC, Lane College. Lane having a good season this year in the SIC. I was just looking at the standings for Lane, sitting in second place by about, about 2.5 games behind Miles. I mean, if Lane can finish as a 2 in the conference, I think that'd be a major accomplishment on that side of the division for Lane. Number 4, Edward Waters, the Tigers, coming in at number 4, right there in Jacksonville, part of the SIAC. Edward Waters currently in first place in the Eastern Division of the SIC, 16-4 overall, with a 1-game lead over Clark Atlanta. Coming in at number 3, the Rams, formerly number 1, dropped a couple of spots after the loss to Fayetteville State, but they did rebound with the win against Johnson C. Smith. So the Rams fall a little bit. And speaking of, Fayetteville State coming in probably just by the nature of that win, coming in at number 2. And the new number 1 on the Division II rankings, Miles. Miles is I believe they were 1 when we first dropped the rankings. Then Winston-Salem jumped them, and then Miles sits back. But look at that point differential between Miles and Fayetteville State, Steve. It's not much.
Yeah, I mean, they Miles nationally ranked, as is WSSU. They have they had it's interesting though. They dropped one what was it? I'm sorry, not this past. So they dropped one recently as well. 17-3. It's interesting. I can't argue with Fayetteville over Winston-Salem State at this point. They did beat the Rams, and it's by 15. If you were at the game, it was a 5-point game with about 4 minutes to go, and then Fayetteville State just kind of put on the gas, and the red wave was diminished. But it's interesting with me with the CIAA and the SIAC. Their philosophies on scheduling are so much different. And we can talk about this with the men as well. They play so many conference games against each other, whereas the CIAA, you might get a couple early December. You get a couple games in December that'll be conference games, but the conference season really doesn't start until just now. So I mean, it's hard to go. Again, Miles nationally ranked, Fayetteville State, and then Winston-Salem right underneath them. I think the points are right. Maybe the order's off, but I think the points are right. And I think those are the top three by far. So,
how many conference games are they playing in the SI or in the CIAA? Because I know they're playing 20, if I'm not mistaken, in the SIAC.
Well, right now I'm looking at Miles. They played 17 conference games with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left to go.
Is it really that many? I thought it was less than that. Really?
Yeah,
wow.
They play like, what is it, 24 games, I want to say?
So maybe it is 20. Okay, see, I thought it was 20, but you're okay, 24. Good Lord.
Yeah,
it's 24. It's 24.
And then, I mean, by contrast, Fayetteville State is 15-2 overall, right? So they played 10 conference games. So if you look at a Fayetteville State, they played Shippensburg, Millersville. These are people that are going to be in the regional rankings. This was part of a CIAA PSAC challenge. Then you got UNC Pembroke, who's, right next door to them. They played, a couple other regional programs as well. So it's interesting. But I think it'll all come out in the wash. I did not see, and I talked to Coach Tyrese Brown, the head coach over at Fayetteville State, about it, should they be nationally ranked? And he said for him, the national rankings weren't so much of a deal as much as the regional rankings, because the NCAA tournament and Division II is done regionally. But I think now that there should be a case for, after what they did to Winston-Salem State, there should be a case for Fayetteville State to at least be in the receiving votes category, if not in the top 25. I think, especially when we get over to the men's side, I think the CIAA has shown that they've had years where they've had multiple teams get to the NCAA tournament and have wins as well. So it's going to be interesting.
I think what'll be most interesting is seeing when these regional rankings and when the final one comes out, how affected will the SIAC be by going from a 20-game to a 24-game conference schedule, where you have taken 4 non-conference opportunities away from your upper-level schools, or even just the schools that are like on the bubble. They have benefited by playing out-of-conference games versus having to play. And I think you only get like 26 or 28 in total at the Division II level. So you're talking already a limited field of games that you can play out of conference. So
yeah. I mean, I think this is maybe year 2 or 3 of that. Maybe AD or someone else, whenever could come in there. But I think I don't think it's that great. I do know at one point the CIAA went to, for maybe a year or two, where everybody played each other twice, which turned out to be maybe 22 games. But I think they went away from that after a while. Okay, so this is year 1 of 24 games. So yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how that does for them. Like I said, I do know Miles, what they played. I think I heard they played like a number 12 team in the country, and they lost to them. But that probably helped as part of why they were nationally ranked. It's going to be interesting. We won't really know until a month from now when we get into March if the CIAA, which plays in the Atlantic region, which is generally a pretty tough region, if they'll continue to get multiple teams in. They got 2 in on the women's side last year, Fayetteville State and Winston-Salem State. If they'll continue to get 2 of the 8 spots this year as well, or maybe more, because in the men last year, and we'll talk about them in a second, we saw the CIAA got 3, and 2 of them won a game. So,
wow. All right, let's move over to the top 5 men's ranking. These are the men's ranking. Don't be thrown off by the graphic text. Our intern was a little rushed. The top 5 men's ranking in the hunt: Virginia State, Clark, Atlanta, and Allen University, all outside of the top 5 on the men's rankings. I think these are the men's rankings. I think this might still be the women's rankings.
While you're pulling it up, I'll answer the question from Emmett Jones. Is WSSU the only D2 HBCU to win the D2 NCAA basketball championship? No. We were the first, but we're not the only. We had Virginia. We had North Carolina Central win one in 1989, and Virginia Union actually has 3 of them on the men's side and 1 on the women's side as well. So CIAA women also have Hampton in 1988 and Shaw in 2013 as national champions. So, Winston-Salem State isn't the only, but we were the first to win the NCAA title. The first HBCU to win the national title, which is often confused, was actually Tennessee State. They won the NAIA title 3 years in a row.
All right, here are the rankings. I do have it. I don't have the graphic for it, but I do have the rankings here in front of me for the Division II men's rankings. I'm just going to give the top 5, not going to tell you who's in the hunt. Number 5, Morehouse College coming in at number 5. Number 4, Tuskegee. Number 4. That'd be shocking, especially after recent events of the win by Morehouse. But I think it has to do more so with the non-conference wins, more so being slightly ahead of Morehouse. Number 3 is Claflin. Claflin comes in at number 3 on the men's level. Number 2, Fayetteville State, winners of 8 in a row. So we've got Fayetteville State, the number 2 team on the women's level, and the number 2 team on the men's level. Both have 8-game winning streaks. The number 1 team on the D2 men's side, Virginia Union, coming in at number 1 on the men's level. And I think they are still nationally ranked, last I checked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're nationally ranked, but really, really interesting when you get into it. Fayetteville State, after their Super Bowl, their win over WSSU, they went ahead and they played a really tough Claflin team who has, since coming into the CIAA, has always been a contender. Never quite got to their championship game yet, but maybe this will be the year. They beat them on a last-second shot. Claflin held them to only, I think, 82 points, which is the lowest that they've seen since before Christmas. So you got Claflin there and Fayetteville State, but and Virginia Union, obviously their record and being nationally ranked definitely holds some weight. But if you look at it, they have matched up against Fayetteville State twice, actually. The first one was in Richmond, and Virginia Union won that game, but it was a triple overtime game. Then Virginia Union came south, hit 95 South, and ended up in Cumberland County. And they got treated pretty badly by the Broncos. It was a pretty solid loss there. So it's interesting. Number 1 and number 2 have played each other twice and split. Will we see them played again in the CIAA tournament? I wouldn't be against it. I'd like to see it. But shout out to Coach Jay Butler and the job he's doing over at Virginia Union. I had them ranked number 3 in my poll, and he was the coach that quoted my poll with the eyes. I don't know, Jay. You gotta let me know how much you're making. That might put you up over Winston, but that's a place where you're expected to win. That's a place where you're expected to win, and he has done that. But their expectation is championships, and he's been there for a decade. He's got 1 CIAA championship, and in a lot of schools that puts you in the Hall of Fame. And at Virginia Union, there's that pressure. I talked about their building earlier. If you go to their building, etched in stone, because it does look like it is it does look like a building from the Pantheon. It literally does. If you ever Google it, it says 4-time national champions. That's etched into the stone of their building. So that's the expectation there. Jay has had some teams that have been really good, 20 plus wins in the last couple of years. One of them was the one that fell to my WSSU squad back in 2023, but they were able to get a bid. It's really fascinating at the CIAA. Can Claflin get their first CIAA championship? Can Devin Hearn pick it up in his first season at Fayetteville State? And then can Virginia Union finally get back on top of the throne? And then even down there in the hunt, they're not on there, but I do see they're listed Bluefield State. I mean, Coach DeLessio was, I'll say it, banished to Bluefield State. They don't have, I think they're getting a band, but they don't have cheerleaders. That's been my saying, the last couple of years.
Bluefield State doesn't have cheerleaders?
They don't. I think they're working on it. Bluefield State is an interesting story, but the work he's doing there, and then you can't count Coach Lonnie Blow and his guys out. They're the defending champions. Everybody forgets they've had it pretty rough, but you never know once we get into CIAA tournament play. So there's just a lot going on, and then obviously you got Morehouse and Tuskegee, the Cuffs Classic. The Cuffin Classic. Maybe that'll be we'll brand it now. So and Clark Atlanta and Miles there too.
Don't we, Steve? Don't we have to somehow start talking it into existence? Obviously, the schedule and the results will speak to this happening. But don't we just have to have Bluefield and Fayetteville State on the same side of the bracket? And I'm talking like I got to have Fayetteville State with the double bye, because the double bye is the kiss of death, in my opinion, from what I've seen. And Bluefield to have to play maybe the first game in, so that way they get 2 games in a row under their belt by the time they play Fayetteville State. I think that is the scenario that would be the kiss of death for Fayetteville State.
Well, if it keeps going, here's what I see. I see Fayetteville State, if they can hold off Claflin, and they got the upper leg on them right now, and win the CIAA South, they will have a bye. The tournament starts on Tuesday. They will play on Wednesday against one of the lower seeds, which, if my Rams are lucky enough to win on Tuesday, they'll probably be the sacrificial Rams on the men's side.
No pun intended.
You got, I'm taking right now, I got in my bracket, I got Virginia Union and Fayetteville State getting the number 1 seeds, which means they play on Wednesday. And then if they advance, then they play on Friday in the semis. So I've got Bluefield State getting the number 2 out of the 2 or the 3 out of the North, which puts them, if I'm not mistaken, playing on, they don't play until Thursday. And so then they play on Thursday. And then if they win, then we could see on the CIAA Friday night, we could see I would love to see Fayetteville versus Bluefield State.
Please.
And then
please, basketball gods, lower G, please.
And then VSU and VUU play each other.
Oh, God. What an epic Friday night that'll be.
Yeah. I got another scenario. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there for you too. It's probably not gonna make people feel that great, but I don't know. Well, I'll give you guys the stuff free. But I also have in the semis. I have Bluefield State, coached by my guy Paul Davis, taking on Fayetteville State in the semis, taking down the Broncos. And then I've got Winston-Salem State and Coach Terry taking on Virginia Union.
Ooh, wow.
Taking down her old team. And then I got my 2 Rams that I went to school with in the D2 transition era going head-to-head for the CIAA championship on Saturday. That's the, and because I said it like that, it probably won't happen like that. But if it does, please clip this. Please clip this.
You heard it here, February 1st, the first day of the month. Steve speaking it into existence, trying to make it happen. All right, let's go to the Division I rankings here. These are the Division I BCSN top 5 for the women and the men. Starting out in the hunt, Norfolk State and Alabama State just outside of the top 5 on the D1 side. Coming in at number 5, Alcorn State. How about the big bad
The Alcorn
Lady
State
Braves?
Bison.
I gotta talk to the intern. I gotta tell the intern to pay attention to these logos. I know it's hard. Maybe we have to come up with another method here. I love but I'm not gonna poo-poo on having interns. You know how hard it is.
I get it.
And then there you go. See, the
Howard
Hawks.
Okay.
The Howard Jesus. Pay attention to the words, folks. Don't worry about the logos. Howard comes in on the women's side at number 4. Number 3, Maryland Eastern Shore. I mean, just switching conferences here. Maryland Eastern Shore.
Jaguars,
right. With a very slight margin over Howard. Right. I believe Maryland Eastern Shore is still unbeaten in conference.
Yeah, they are. They are unbeaten. I'm surprised to see them this low, but
Exactly. That Alcorn State Bison versus North Carolina A&M game was wild. Exactly. You guys got it. I will tell the intern about relying on AI. Thank you, them boys. It's a great lesson to remind the young people, but I'm not gonna poo-poo to help. So it's just a lesson to learn. Southern Bulldogs coming in at number. Jesus, this is so much right now. This is so much. Southern comes in at number 2. This is live. I just want you all to know this is live television. This will obviously be fixed and when we post these out on social, because God help us that we post it on social and it look like this. But have fun with it while you can. And the number 1 team,
not the Jackson State Rattlers.
God, if that's what I see, I'm gonna die right now. Please, God, don't let that be the Jackson State Rattlers. Woo! The Alabama A&M Spartans. The Alabama A&M Lady Bulldogs are the new number 1 team.
This is Sparta.
Yeah. What I find interesting, there is still, I was just looking this up, there's a 2-way tie in the SWAC. Right. Well, I can't even call it a tie because by nature of the win-loss record, Alabama A&M, they have won 8 games in a row, sitting in sole first place in the SWAC. They lost that opening game to Mississippi Valley State, and it was like their wake-up call. And then they have won 8 in a row, and we're at the halfway point for the women. They're right at the halfway point. They're 8-1. So Alcorn, I believe Alcorn is also 8-1, but Alabama A&M, they wiped the floor with Alcorn, beat them by 40.
They made them change their logo.
Yeah, they made them change the logo. It said,
Coach Thornton. She's doing, what she did at UAPB, and looking like the team that we thought we would see after last year. So yeah, I think it's it's definitely going to be, the logos are still throwing me off. But between Alabama A&M, Southern, and then I know they're looking bad, but I just have the feeling that at some point Jackson State is going to wake up. The Jackson State Rattlers are going to wake up and have a say in this. Or maybe even the FAMU Tigers. Who knows?
Oh Lord. So Alcorn apparently is 7-1. I thought everyone had played 9 games already, but there is this weird scheduling thing in the SWAC where everybody, because you have that one weekend where you don't play a Thursday and a Saturday because of your rival. So that may be existing. So Alcorn is actually 7-1. Thank you for the clarification. That's what I also saw on the website, but I sometimes think the websites are wrong, kind of similar to sometimes the graphics that the interns put together. So there you go. So get a chuckle out of that. No, I will not be posting this on social. too much. It's too much. Too much hilarity will ensue. Somebody will clip it and run it. So have fun there. All right. Dr. Carey was like, yeah, please no JSU Raptors. Just as long as I don't see that up here, I'm like, we're good. Please, God, do not put that up there. Okay, here's on the men's side of Division I in the hunt. Morgan State coming just outside of the top 5. Howard University. Florida A&M drops out of the top 5 after some tough losses. And then UAPB comes in just outside. Number 5. Men, the Alabama A&M men got a good win at home against Florida A&M on Saturday. They will get ready for a contest against Bethune-Cookman. That's going to be a barn burner. That's going to be real good. Number 4 is North Carolina Central. Quietly a team that nobody's talking about. You remember we always were talking about North Carolina Central, but after a couple of bad seasons, or well, I'll say less than what we had grown to expect from North Carolina Central. I don't know how you want to frame it, bad or less than, whatever. Look who's back in the top 5. I guess we got to pay attention again to Coach Lavelle and North Carolina Central again. Number 3, Maryland Eastern Shore suffered their first loss on the men's side. I wonder how much of that delay, how much being away from probably maybe almost 10 days where they didn't play a game. I wonder if that had an effect on them. I had a nice streak going. But they dropped to number 3. Also, number 2, Tennessee State. Actually kind of in a tie in terms of points. So technically we could say Tennessee State and Maryland Eastern Shore both tied at 2. Nolan Smith doing a great job there in the OVC for Tennessee State. And number 1, the Wildcats, Hale Wildcats, the Bethune-Cookman University Wildcats. Coach, I should say Coach, AD, and VP Reggie Theus he now got 3 jobs now at Bethune-Cookman, and he's got a team that they take on Alabama A&M on Monday. That's going to be the game. I think that might be your game of the night in the SWAC. Number 1 Bethune-Cookman versus number 5 Alabama A&M. Should be a good game. Thoughts there on that top 5, Steve?
Yeah, you kind of knew coming in, Dante Jackson was going to work his magic over there. I'm kind of seeing some parallels here between Alabama A&M and Fayetteville State. Is Alabama A&M the Fayetteville State of the SWAC? Both of their teams are in the top 5. Conference switcheroo in coaches. Nice building. Maybe not the team. So it's just interesting. But yeah. So Alabama A&M in the hunt. Like you said, Central is they had it rolling until that. They had it rolling until COVID-19. Literally, I mean, they had won 3 championships in a row. They were going for number 4 and looked like the favorite. And then I was there that day in Norfolk when the world shut down and they didn't get a chance to get out on the court again. And since then, they have struggled. Even, it used to be like you just knew they were going to get to the championship game, but they've only got to Friday night once since then. And how much of that has to do with the football program having some success and maybe them having to pull some resources over there. Always interesting dynamics going on there. Coach Moulton didn't forget how to coach. And so, they've had to adjust in this NIL era, which he's been, every year he lets you know he's not a big fan of, but it is what it is. So I think interesting too. You got down their numbers. I think even really more for me when you look at the MEAC in terms of your teams that are, I guess, would be 6 and 7, Morgan State and Howard. Howard, again, Coach Blakeney has turned that program into a job that, it hasn't been, we're talking about turning jobs. I don't know that Howard would have been ranked that high in the MEAC in previous iterations of the MEAC, despite it being Howard and despite their location. But I think in this new MEAC, he has found a way to really up the expectations because, you know, they didn't go to the NCAA tournament for like 30 years. So, and then you got Morgan State. Morgan State, you know, yeah, they look nice all right now, but they got to show me something. You know, Coach Brodus has been there as long as Coach Blakeney has. And, you know, 15 years ago, Morgan State was running the MEAC right before Norfolk State and Central got used to be in Division I. So, you know, how long they're going to have to do a lot more to impress me. I'm not going to be a believer until I see them cut down the nets in Norfolk. But you know, Maryland Eastern Shore, tough loss for Coach Hill and those guys, but again, they hadn't played in forever. You know, I've seen enough of him to know that I'm not counting them out from winning this all this year. I'm really not. And again, I saw with my own eyes over at WSSU where he won the CIAA his second year there, and I think when he was at Shaw, it might have been his third year there. So it doesn't take him long to turn a program around, and he knows he's a master motivator. And I think this is a blip on the radar for them. And I know everybody's talking about Bethune-Cookman, but you know, Tennessee State, I mean, they're looking pretty good right now. So you know, we'll see. Emmett says, "Is Norfolk State's dynasty over?" I don't think so.
Let's back up, Emmett. Slow down.
I mean, you got to think what
season. Come on.
You got to think what Coach Jones has done with that program. You know, over the past dozen years or so that he's been there is pretty remarkable, especially when you're talking about, you know, he was a part of that 2012 team where, you know, they had that team. He was an assistant and they had that team together for, you know, a while. They were able to build. But now this year, pretty much every year you're starting over with a new team. And you have to figure eventually that's going to catch up with you, or your luck of your draw may run out. Maybe this is it, but hey, the tournament's still in Norfolk, and I mean, you know, dependent. You know, there's always this saying, and you know, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. You know, they need Norfolk State there to make some money at least till Friday. You know, they need to at least get them to the championship game. Now, you know, so we'll see. So but I still don't think anybody will want to play. I don't think anybody will want to play Norfolk State, or Norfolk State in the MEAC tournament. So I think the MEAC, even though we're a month and a half away from that, is going to be. I think there are going to be 4 or 5 teams that if they win, pretty much anybody other than Coppin State and Dell State, and South Carolina State. Anybody outside of those 3 winning, I'm not going to be super surprised. But no, we'll see.
And what's crazy about that, and I see, obviously, you know, when you see Norfolk State lose by 28, was it, last night to Howard, and they'd beaten Howard 7 of the last 8 times. So, I mean, that's a heck of a run, 7 of 8. I was heavy on Norfolk State. Did not see them getting beat by 20. Even when they were down by 15 at the half or something like that, I was like, oh, this is ripe for a comeback or at least a close game. Howard is like, nope, not even letting you get close to the door. But I agree with you, Steve, 100%. I don't want to see them on my half of the bracket in their backyard in that tournament. You just don't want that. You know, give me any other route. What's interesting is you talked about that 1 year thing. Well, that's, you know, obviously that's new norm in college athletics, college basketball. You can probably expect every year to have, if you have a top 8 or 9 rotation, to probably have to replace 75% of it every year.
Yeah.
I would be fascinated to find the coach who's able, especially, I won't say it. Look, definitely you won't do it in a 3-year time span. You might get fortunate and be able to get a 2-year run with some guys, but I just think the way college basketball is now, every year you're going to replace 75% of your top 9. Especially at the mid-major level.
Yeah, and I mean, and they've been able to do it better than anyone else. I mean, they've got 3 championships since, I would say, this post-COVID era where NIL and transfer portal have just really taken shape. And like I've seen, you've seen North Carolina Central men's basketball take a step back. Norfolk State has kind of thrived in it. There was they lost to Howard. In those couple of years, but even then they were right there. So it's tough to do. But again, like I said, Coach Jones, there's the addition. I knew with Cleo Hill coming to the MEAC, the addition of him, he's another championship winning coach, a proven coach, even though it's not at the Division I level. And I think that just added one more to, when you talk about Blakeney, when you talk about Jones, you talk about Moten, Cleo Hill, despite being in that Eastern Shore location, which I think is probably one of the 5 toughest jobs in college basketball, he's going to have his guys right there in year 2. So even after losing his leading scorer, Katron Shaw, who came with him from Winston-Salem State, he's now at Old Dominion, who's a double-figure scorer and a really solid player for them too. So, everybody's having to make those adjustments.
When did he leave? What, during the season, after the first? Well, you said he came with him, but I mean, and this is Hill's first year, so
it's his second year.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Okay, I thought it was his second year. Okay.
Yeah, this is his second year. So he played on the championship team at WSSU as a freshman in 2023.
Right.
Then he went with Cleo last year, averaged like 18 a game, had some really good non-conference games. He went from a guy that as a D2 program, people were even sleeping on picking him up, to now being an all-conference player in the MEAC, to now being over at Old Dominion. And
he's
that's
how it works.
He's probably,
go from D2.
He's probably making as much as some coaches in the MEAC. So
Wow.
It's that just shows you that landscape of college basketball impacting all levels, including HBCUs. He is, he's averaging 16.6 points a game, shooting 46% at Old Dominion. He's the real deal, and he went under the radar in that post-COVID era. So, Coach Hill,
keep an eye on him, Steve. He will be somewhere else next year. He will be the guy that will go from D2 to mid-major D1 to, I don't even know what, an upper level mid-major D1.
Well, I think this is his
senior 5 next year if he's got more eligibility.
I think this is his senior year, and I don't think I know this is his senior year because I watched him in high school. He actually played not far from me. That was my one assist. That was my one assist to the WSSU basketball program.
There you go.
I kind of put him on there, so I'm super happy rooting for him.
And you won a championship because of it. So they better give you a ring. Did they send you a ring for that, Steve? Come on.
Yeah, they don't send me a ring. They don't like me as much as y'all think they do. I'm kidding. They for the most part, they like me. So, but it's super happy for him. But that's just an example of what the coaches are dealing with now. It's the economy. I mean, it's just like, when Coach Hill took his talents over to Maryland Eastern Shore, they're Division I. They pay more than WSSU was paying. So it's the economy, and everybody's dealing with it, and everybody's in that flux.
The top 5 rankings will be posted on all the social media handles. Correct graphics, because I know you guys got a hoot. I wish we could do the wrong graphic thing, but that everybody doesn't take the jokes well. So, but no, I mean, all credit, congratulations to those teams who are in the top 5. It continues to fluctuate and move, and so we'll continue to keep our eyes open. Again, big game Monday night in the SWAC. Bethune-Cookman traveling to Alabama A&M. That might be the feature SWAC game to look at going into this game. What's that? Oh, 80. Let's see. Some interesting. Wow. Okay. Real quick before we close up tonight, Steve, obviously with this being Super Week, the beginning of Super Week, and the Super Bowl, which will be next Sunday, just kind of a little public service announcement for those of you who watch our show. I will tell you now, 80 and I will not do a show tomorrow night or next Sunday night. I know me, I'll be watching the game somewhere, somehow. AD is obviously traveling as Morehouse Baseball, I think, is in New Orleans this upcoming weekend. So I don't even know if he'll be back somewhere. So, but we're tossing around the idea of doing a Sunday morning show. So just to kind of give you a heads up, kind of in that old Dr. Cavill time slot during the football season, that 10 o'clock Eastern. So we might wake up and do a Sunday morning show on Super Sunday. So just kind of give you all a heads up. But just in case you didn't know, I was checking the interwebs, Steve. We have at least one HBCU player playing in the 2026 Super Bowl. That would be Terrell Jennings from Florida A&M, part of the New England Patriots roster. Now, I do know there's a couple of coaches that have some HBCU coaching ties. I think there's Milton Patterson, who is on the Patriots staff. I know that for a fact. I don't know. Have you heard of are there any other coaches on any of the staffs that you recall or have,
Yeah, there's a young man who used to play quarterback for Shaw when I first started HBCU game day. His name is Quinshawn Odom. He works with the Seahawks organization. I forget exactly what his role is, but he's there. And then I think it's you're seeing actually the last couple of weeks we saw a former HBCU coach being named the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, who was over with Latrell Scott at Virginia State and Norfolk State, Christian Parker. And then you also had Durante Jones, who was named the defensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings, who is a Morgan State former player and coached at Bowie State. So, shout out to all of our guys who are getting there, whether they're players or coaches and former players. So exciting to see. And as far as who will win Super Bowl 60, I'll tell you, I've not watched a minute of NFL playoffs. I really haven't. I'm that disconnected from it. So will I tune in? Probably.
It's hard to keep up, no doubt. You guys in the chat, New England or Seattle, you guys post your responses there in the chat. I just cannot in any lifetime root for the New England Patriots after the years of misery that they caused me. And I just do not want to go through another decade of a Patriot dynasty, whatever that may look like, even though I think they have a coach and they have a quarterback. And I'm just like, God dog it. Those are the two things that if you have, you can do anything. And they got a defense. So it's like, I don't know if their quarterback is healthy. That's sort of the X factor. I don't really know if their quarterback is healthy enough to win it this year, but I think they got one. But I'll be pulling for the Seahawks. I think that's where I'll be going. I thought about, you guys stay locked in with our social media, with my social media. I may do a squares contest, a Super Bowl squares contest. I may do a prop contest where I put something out and you guys pick, maybe 10 or 15 Super Bowl props, might have a prize set up. So, trying to do some things to engage, and hopefully you guys who are going to be watching next Sunday give you something to enjoy. Any other football related notes that you come across, Steve, before we close up shop tonight?
Morehouse, I beg of you, hire those young men a head football coach. Please get it done. Please get it done. Bring some order. But I think the report did come out. Dawson Odoms is supposedly the choice over at Bowie State. So that'll be interesting. this will be the second time in a couple of weeks we've seen a former Division I coach come to the D2 ranks. That Bowie State job, is an interesting one. Obviously, Damon Wilson. Obviously, you go back even further to Henry Frazier. He was able to get those guys to the division championship in the CIAA, championship game in the CIAA, and make that job better before he went to Prairie View. And then Damon Wilson was able to take it and run the show over in the CIAA after a couple false starts. And so, things didn't work out for Kyle Jackson. Going to be interesting. Bowie State, they landed where they landed on my jobs list for basketball. Football, I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to do a football list, but it's gonna be interesting. They hired Coach Odoms, who a defensive guy, and the CIAA is increasingly an offensive league with Dr. Alvin Parker. Why hasn't that man gotten a Division I job? Please, I'm begging you guys, take him. And then also, Johnson C. Smith, and the head coach over there. He's doing an amazing job too. He's an offensive guy. Winston-Salem State, we just hired an offensive guy, so it's an offensive league. So hiring a defensive coach is it's an interesting choice. You got to be able to score points. So it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating to see what the new look CIAA looks like with Dawson Odom, who actually played in the CIAA when he was at North Carolina Central. They were in the CIAA, so excited. He's a good guy. Always, low key funny. A lot of people don't necessarily get his humor, but he's low key funny, and always, everyone who's played for him has nothing but good things to say about him. So, I wish him luck other than October 10th when they come down to Bowman Gray Stadium.
There you go. I'm sure at some point next week or the week after, we'll have more schedules that are starting to release.
That was the other part, yeah. It's interesting. If you haven't noticed, over in the CIAA, I know a couple years ago, SIC was the first to make the shift to no divisions, and that kind of shook up their thing. And then you've noticed the last couple of years where games have counted for some teams and not counted for some teams after the CIAA went to one division. All of that is from St. Augustine's dropping football, and there was a north-south schedule. So now it's literally all one league, and we're starting to see that some of the games are going to be played earlier that are traditionally played at the end of the season. So I know Winston-Salem State, we don't have our schedule out yet, but I did see Johnson Smith put their schedule out, and we usually play that game the last weekend in October. That game has now been moved up to September 12th, which means that it's probably going to be a night game. And I don't think we've ever had a night. I don't know that we've had a night game against Johnson C. Smith in eons. So that'll be pretty interesting. So I think it's good. I think on the back end, everybody still has their rivalry games. They'll put Fayetteville State on there. They're not really our rival, but they'll put us on there with them. But you still see Virginia State, Virginia Union. You still see Smith and Livingstone. All of that's going to be at the end, but it's kind of mixed up. You got some teams playing conference at the beginning of the year. So I think it's going to be good. It's going to shake some things up. You kind of get used to that rhythm every year of knowing you'll see certain opponents at a certain time. But I think it's good to shake up. The shake-up is going to be good.
And shame if the CIAA and the SIC cannot get together and come up with a one weekend. Give me at least 6 matchups between SIC versus CIAA. Come on, you got to 7, because you got to have a cup. You got to make it out of something. You got to turn this into something that is like something worth talking about. The matchups. Give me 7 games between the best 7 of from the previous year. The 7 versus 7, the 6 versus 6. You know what I'm saying? Something, Steve, that you can sell and market. I don't know.
I do know that Winston-Salem State and Albany State had contracted to play the first week 0 Yes, week 0, Bryan, of the D2. But
which is really what, week 1? That's Labor Day weekend of the Division 1
August
schedule.
29th, we were supposed to play them. But
that's week 0. That's true week 0.
Yeah. But a school in Tallahassee, and I'm not talking about the ones that do the tomahawk. Apparently they came in, took our game, offered them some money, and they so
Money
they're going to be there now. So we'll see who we have for our week 0. So Quentin Gray will be facing off against his former team in his debut as a head coach. That's pretty cool for them. Look, my thing is, get us a money game and get us a good game against a D2 opponent, and whoever it's from, just make it make sense. I wouldn't mind us playing. I wouldn't mind WSSU taking on Clark Atlanta in a home and home. The battle of the Reds. We're the two schools who actually have proper red as our main color. A lot of people, it's their accent color.
You have red, black, and white. Red, black, and white. Isn't that the 3-color scheme?
Yeah. So black is not officially a WSSU color.
Okay.
It's scarlet and white. Those are our colors.
Thank you.
And it used to be blue was the accent, then they changed it to black. I'm fighting for them to bring back the blue. But now
I've never seen the blue. What year was that? I've never seen the blue.
This was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They changed it around the turn of the century. So I've got a whole campaign on bringing back the blue. But in the meantime, let us play Clark Atlanta. Give us a chance to go to Atlanta, or we owe Tuskegee now. Now that we got a new head coach, Torrey Woodbury, who defeated Tuskegee in the
Red Tails?
No. Back in the day when they played in the CIAA and the SIC, the Pioneer Bowl.
The Pioneer Bowl.
Yes.
Pioneer Bowl.
Yes, he defeated Coach James and Tuskegee in the Pioneer Bowl one year. They got him back the next year. But we enjoy playing Tuskegee. They had that neutral site game over there in Montgomery, but come on. So, because they really owed us a home game from when we went down there in 2019, and they just never gave it back to us. So we played the Red Tails last year, but we like playing them. So Tuskegee, Clark Atlanta, or Morehouse, as long as the football team behaves in the handshake line, I think I'd like to play any of those. So yeah. Or we can play Albany State, the battle of the real Rams. We're the real Rams, and they are the Golden Rams. Sometimes I hear people in the SIC saying that we're the real Rams, the Red Rams, and they're the Golden Rams. We got the gold, we got the golden arches, and they got the golden arcs. So let's play that.
Well said, McDowell's and McDonald's. There you go. The gold.
Sponsored by McDowell's. Yeah.
You got to find the Maroon Tigers, or who are the Tigers in the CIAA?
We don't have Tigers. There's
no Tigers.
There are literally no Tigers.
Well,
there are literally no Tigers in the CIAA.
You're the only conference. You're the only conference without Tigers,
in the
right?
CIAA or in the MEAC. I guess that's a down south thing. There's not
Tigers. Well, the Tigers have all left. The Tigers have all left.
The Tigers are down south. But everybody likes to wear maroon. That's why I hate maroon. That's why I say we're the Red Rams. It's the real red, and it's not an accent color. Like some people, it's actually our school color. So,
wow, I've learned so much, Steve. I really have learned so much. I appreciate your time this evening. Make sure you guys are checking out HBCUGameDay.com. Make sure you're also following WSSU Ram Nation on social media, especially on YouTube. I love the fact that Steve is 100% invested in making sure that people know what is happening with WSSU Ram Nation in all sports.
The Ram Truth.
The Ram Truth. I learned something new about that Bronco chant. So, see, I will now look at that post that I saw. I saw that post by somebody from
You got to go in the
State.
comments. You got to go in the comments, man. My guys from
Really?
WSSU.
I gotta see if I can find that video again, because I saw it and I got a chuckle out of it, but I never heard the original until you beautifully sung it for us earlier in the show.
Yeah, we really ramped that up. We really ramped up in the comments. So we had a good time with it, man. That WSSU Blue over there in Fayetteville, they want significance so bad.
As we close the show again, I did come across an article. We're now 28 and a half hours since the incident that occurred at the house involving Tuskegee head coach and at Morehouse game, following the Tuskegee Morehouse game, Coach Benji Taylor of Tuskegee. I came across an article here from the Jacksonville Free Press. And we talked about earlier in the show not hearing any statement really officially from the SIC. Well, this article does actually have a comment from the SIC midway through the article. And I'll just read kind of what the conference states, or at least the statement from the conference. It says, quote, "The SIC takes the safety and dignity of all student athletes, coaches, and officials seriously. We are in the process of gathering facts to determine whether additional action is warranted." The SIC also added by stating that any disciplinary action related to the game would be handled through conference protocols. Both schools are scheduled to continue conference play this week. Again, still no word from Morehouse yet, no official statement. Maybe before Steve goes to bed, they might put a stay. I know you work long hours and early morning, Steve, so maybe at some point prior to sleep or after sleep, you will see a statement. Who knows? I don't know what the over.
I got nothing to do but look outside at the snow. So go ahead.
I think at this point we got to start saying over under is like, I'm going to say 10:30. 10:30 in the morning on Monday. Will we see a statement from Morehouse regarding what happened? Over or under 10:30 a.m. I don't know. God bless them. I hope so. But again, fascinating, great conversation with Kyle T. Mosley in hour one. You can go back and listen to it if you missed any part of it. Also, go check out the BCSN Pod Zone podcast download on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, all of your favorite podcast platforms. And you can kind of hear the conversation, a great conversation, great perspective, not only by Steve, but Kyle. For those of you who kind of want a little behind the scenes on how two of HBCU's best journalists kind of cover a story like this. And so please make sure to check out their content on the websites, but you can also go back and listen to hour one and get a good perspective on the incident. So we'll see what happens.
Southern, I talk about a news dump.
Uh-oh.
Southern releases its football schedule on Sunday night.
Did they really? Oh my God. Did they do a video, or is it just
a graphic?
Just the graphic, no video.
Just straight up. So Alabama State on 5 p.m. 5 p.m.
That's a weekend news dump right there. Couldn't even wait until Monday morning.
Alabama State
crazy.
29th, Kentucky State September 5th, Houston September 12th, Louisiana Christian, not Texas Christian, not Louisiana State, but Louisiana Christian.
Is that NAIA Louisiana Christian?
You know what? They need to stop playing. Now, you talk about playing games, they need to stop playing, and they need to bring Winston-Salem State down to Baton Rouge for a true Pete Richardson Classic. since Pete Richardson was.
Is he at Winston-Salem State alone?
No, he coached at Winston-Salem State and led us to 3 championships before he went to Southern. See, they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that. But he won 3 CIAA championships in 5 years. Then played Southern 1 year, and they beat us, and then they took him as a head coach. And so
that sounds about right.
So yeah, and then they're at Jackson State September 26th. So mark your calendars for that. UAPB, at Prairie View, at Texas Southern, at FAMU on Halloween.
Ooh, scary.
That should be scary hours. Bethune-Cookman, November 7th, Alcorn State on the 14th, and, of course, the Bayou Classic, November 28th. So, yeah.
12-game schedule, right?
Yep, 12 games.
One of the things that was pointed out to me that I missed, I saw Zach McKinnon post this on socials. When Jackson State released their schedule, what was it, Saturday? Of course, they did a little video thing, which I'm going to give them leader in the clubhouse for showing some creativity and doing a schedule video. But while everybody else is just kind of dropping graphics, I noticed there were only 11 games on the schedule for Jackson State, and all HBC. What's fascinating is 11 games, 2 Division II opponents. I think they have Edward Waters and Tuskegee, but it's all HBC.
Why not call the Rams?
I don't know, y'all. I don't know what's going on with y'all. Are y'all too far away to travel? I mean, is there room on the schedule? I don't know what's going on, but Jackson State still has. Well, right now they've got 2 bye weeks. It'll be interesting to see, do they schedule a 12th game or do they just exist with the 2 byes? Because, it's interesting. So, same for Hampton. Hampton has 11 games.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you don't take advantage of the 12-game opportunity. I mean, maybe it's just hard. I know it's hard. I know I'm saying that, and it's probably hard scheduling. But still, I would think you want 12 games if you can get it, and hopefully you can get an extra home game, because I know there's some schools that have 6 home games. For example, FAMU has 6 home games, which I can't remember the last time FAMU had 6 home games. I think Alabama A&M has 6 home games. That's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Great opportunities, revenue generators. So is what it is. But all right, well, that's going to do it for tonight's show, guys. Thank you for watching, all of you. Hit the thumbs up and the like button out the door. Again, I got to give a special thanks to Steven for hanging in with me tonight. Shout out to Kyle T. Mosley earlier. Hopefully AD Drew will be back. He should be back next week. He appreciates you respecting his position that he's in. So don't send him any texts and tweets and all that stuff. Just know AD's watching. He's out there. He hears what's going on. He's out there. He's working. He's grinding with everybody else at Morehouse to try to put out the best possible response. And we will soon hear from them when it's best for them to release a statement. But let's just hope that we can all grow from this situation and see our coaches treated with a little more dignity and respect in these kind of circumstances. So have a great week. It's the start of Black History Month. Have a great month, and let's continue to celebrate. It's been 100 years since this whole Black History first week, then month, has been recognized by this country. 50 years since it's been recognized as a month. So make a point to repost and retweet little nuggets and stories, whether it be sports or non-sports. Make sure to share that information on social media. Remind people that even with all the things going on in the world, Black history is 365 days, and there's a lot of great people that have made and are making history, and they are Black. There you go. All right. That's going to do it. Be well, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon on the other side. This has been the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll talk at you later. Peace out, everybody.